Little pause there, guys, while we get things set up. I will be with you all here directly. Budget! Nice to see you, man. Hey, Tom. Southern Indiana, all the way from Northeast Ohio here. Just got into the woods, guys. We're gonna get to the build here in a bit, but before we go getting dirty on the build itself, we'll take a look around camp and then we're gonna go on a hike. We need to run to the grocery store before we get started today, so we're gonna go on a hike, gather up a few things that I need for a craft project and try to find some food, and then we'll come back here to the build for the build part later on this evening. We're going to try to start getting this front face closed in here this evening. So we'll give it a few minutes for others to show up here in the chat. You guys hang out for a second. I'm going to take a look around real quick. Yeah, that is weird, isn't it? I'm sorry for your loss, though. Hey, Dixie. So I'm going to take a look around here because I just got to camp a few minutes ago. I'm going to take a look around, see what we got to work with, and then we're going to be taking a hike. We need to run to the grocery store, so we're going to do our best to try and... hey, Jason, we're going to try our best to try and stream a hike through this terrain, and we're going to be going all the way to the other end of the woods to see if we can find us some wild turkey, white-tailed deer, and some blackberries along the way. So that's what we got in store for the first part of the stream. Then we'll come back here and we'll be doing some stonework and working on the build itself. So give me a second here, guys. If you can, please share this on Twitter and Facebook. Let everybody know that we are live right now and that we're about to head off into the woods on a hike. We're going to go deeper this time on this stream than we ever have before. Hopefully that we don't have no technical difficulties along the way, because we will be hiking through some deep valleys and over some rough terrain. We're going to do our best to stream that all the way back to the other side of the woods. So hang out with me here. Like I said, share this out on Facebook, Twitter, wherever. Let folks know that we're live streaming. We're about to have us one hell of an adventure. I'll be with you guys in a second. Alright, guys, we'll take a quick look around here. Everything's looking pretty good, the way that it's been. We've had some weather come in, but everything's holding up all right. So we'll go straight on inside the build here. Our back walls are holding up really well. Not too many cracks to speak of. So our clay mix is holding up. Beams still need a little bit of work, but we expected that. All of those are going to be filled in with cob, so it doesn't really matter. And we're going to be getting to that this week. Today, we're going to be closing in the triangles here, so we will be doing some stone laying here today. after we get done with our hike and starting to get the front face of the shelter closed in. Then I'll be coming out the rest of the week doing a shit ton of wood processing to go ahead and close this up a little bit better, start working on the back wall so we can start building our chimney. That chimney has to be put up in sections so the clay dries and we have a good foundation, and then we go up a little bit more, let that dry so we don't have all that weight on wet clay. So that's what we'll be doing with that. We're going to get things adjusted as far as the camera here goes, and then we are going to be going on a hike. So I'm hoping that the live stream does not cut out while we're hiking. We got a long way to go and a short time to get there. So front yard's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm just sort of letting it go and letting it rest, not mess with it too much right now. We kind of want everything to be natural there. So let me go ahead and get the camera adjusted here just real quick. We got to tighten things up a little bit for this hike. You guys will be seeing exactly what I'm seeing, and I can see the chat window. So that's how we're going to do this little hike as best we can. And hopefully we don't start buffering and have all kinds of problems. But like I said, we got a pretty long hike. I got a couple of things that I want to gather up, and we're going to go back and check the blackberry patch at the south end of the woods. So we'll try to take a scenic route back that way. How about that? One of the things I want to gather up is actually all the way up on the top of a ridge back here, and they're turkey feathers. Last live stream we hiked up there to the top of the ridge and found a bunch of turkey feathers laying around, tail feathers, and it looked like they were molten maybe. So I wanted to get a couple of those turkey feathers to put on the new walking stick that I'm working up. The walking stick that I happen to be working up right now is spiral grained wood, so the tree grew in a spiral. And we capped it off with one of the antlers from HB's herd. That's all setting up right now. I wanted a couple of the turkey feathers from out here to add to that. So while we're hiking along here, we're going to be looking for turkey feathers, the turkeys themselves, see if there's any whitetail in the area, and then be heading back to the blackberry patch. So just a little walk here, guys, to start this stream off with, and then we will be right back in here at our camp, which is right there between those two trees. Can't see it, and we're only like 50 yards away. But on this live stream, we get to explore the woods a little bit more so you guys can see the world that I've been filming in. And we're going to go a little bit deeper this time, at least as deep as the live stream will allow us to go, and see what's happening off in the woods. Coming up here, these are the blackberries that we transplanted into the forest. We're not expecting them to yield anything until next year. This is our blackberry patch right here. So hopefully next year this all grows up and those blackberries get nice and thick, and we don't have to hike all the way to the back end of the woods to find any. And coming right back here to the blackberry patch, you see that trail going up the hill there? That's the deer trail that comes down into my camp. So this is their main route coming down into the camp, and right up there at the top of that ridge is where we found the wild turkey feathers too. So we got wild turkeys at the top of that ridge and a deer highway running down through here. And they have been running down in here recently. I can tell they're still sliding down the hill, leaving good tracks. And we have a pretty good sized deer there. So the whitetail are still coming down in the camp, but unfortunately this week I do not have trail cam footage because we took the trail cam back to the house to do some other things with it. But this is our main route for the whitetail coming down. They're coming down right to our blackberry patch, just on this side of the meadow where we're harvesting all of those weeds to put on our bushcraft build. So everything's integrating pretty nice. We're not going to climb up this ridge though, because we got to save our wind for the one ridge that we will be climbing up. Live hike. How often do you get to see this? Yeah. Here we have a special guest, guys. You get a lot of these up in here. Toads, salamanders, a lot of snails. He's awful fucking calm. Alright, get back to it, son. There you go. Special guest right here on the live stream. They just kind of hop in whenever they want. Hop in. That was funny. So anybody on the other side of this stream, if this starts buffering the deeper we get into the forest, please let me know in the chat. That way I know to either turn around or kind of make some adjustments however I can, so you guys can still see what it is that I'm seeing as I'm hiking through here. Smash that thumbs up and share it out on Facebook and Twitter. Let everybody know that we're out here doing this kind of thing today, and they should come and check it out. A little bit earlier stream today. Throughout the week, we'll be doing live streams all week long, every day, different times of day, so we can get an opportunity out for different groups of people to come in. Folks that might not be able to make it to the evening out live streams might be able to make it to the morning ones or the afternoon ones like this one here. We're just trying to give everybody the same opportunity to come out and hang out with us while we're doing this little bit. We have a down oak tree here. I usually use this oak tree as a bridge when I'm crossing from the other side. What I'm wanting to do with this oak though is I want to knock off all this dirt and cut this root system down where I can just use the trunk of the tree as a bridge to cross here, and I don't have to climb over the damn root base to get over there. So until I get that done, usually I just cut right down through here, and that's what we're doing today. It's a little slick because the banks are all clay, but for the most part it's not too bad. But yeah, that would make an epic bridge. I don't even have to level out the top because the damn trunk's so wide. All I need to do is reinforce each side with stone and get this damn root base cut down where I can just walk right across and I don't have to go down and up, you know what I mean? Use what's already there rather than building a bridge. I mean, I already got a bridge right there. All I have to do is fancy up a bit and we have us a crossing. Not that this is too difficult, but it would just be cool to have a fucking tree to cross. So this is the second valley. This is the mouth of the tributary running through the second valley. We will be hiking up through that valley next year and building a second camp after we get the cottage done. So somewhere along this, we are going to be building another bushcraft shelter, and it'll be a lot different than the one we're building now. Always paying attention to things like this growing out here. Details. You gotta stop and see the details. Is this worth sharing, guys? Our chat went from like 10 people down to 2 on my end. I don't know how many people's actually in there. The count really don't matter. Those of you that are sticking along with me get to see this live, and the rest of them have to come back and see it later. But that live view counter doesn't seem to be too damn accurate. I'm gonna climb up here, see what's at the top of this ridge. This looks like a bit of a deer trail too. It's a hell of a lot wider though. The view's always better from the top. But in this forest, just when you think you're at the top, you're not. Hey Timber, we're out treasure hunting. Welcome along. We are currently going on a little hike here. See if we can round this up some wild turkey feathers. Maybe a wild turkey. And checking the whitetail trails that lead through this woods. Well, giving you guys some first person's perspective of kind of forest I film in. As I was saying, at the bottom of the hill there, usually when you think you're at the top of this forest, you're not. You come up over top of one hill, find yourself climbing up another. That's where I'm at now. The sucky part is, once we get to the top of this, we have to drop back down and climb up another. That's just the terrain of the woods. It's cut by 3 different massively deep gorges. A few more hardwoods up here. This is a lot clearer up here at the top. It's a lot different view than what we have down there at the bottom. Canopies up here is so thick that nothing grows down here. Yes, it is beautiful. This is actually a pretty common type forest for my area. Whew, that climb winded me. Hey, maybe we got lucky. Yeah, this is the plateau. We're gonna sit down here in a second, guys. Up here on this plateau, this wide open area is where I first caught up with the wild turkey. Whole flock of them stay over to the west side of this area. We're gonna see if we can catch up with them, but I don't know if they're around. There's the view back down into the main river valley. We're basically at the top of the world right here. But this is the path leading to our grocery store. Whew. So, hiking up here, not a lot to see. As you can see, it's just wide open forest. The canopy is so thick that we really don't get a lot of weeds or anything growing down here at the bottom. Nothing to trip you up aside from the occasional limb. Nice area to build a camp, but also a boring area to build a camp. Everybody's always looking for spaces like this. You always see Bushcraft builds in spaces like this. And then we went and built ours right at the very edge, literally less than a foot away from the edge of the creek bank. And it's about, what, a 10, 12 foot drop down that bank. And our one wall is sitting right on the edge of that thing, because that's how we do it. Anything but ordinary. In a much darker part of the forest. But I've hiked through here at night. I'm actually really comfortable hiking through areas like this at night. Simple headlamp. You really don't need a shit ton of gear with you. You're not really going to get tripped up on anything unless you're a freaking idiot. And there are some idiots out there. But this space does go on for quite a while. We need to get to the south end of it, which will be the south end of the woods that we're filming the Bushcraft build in, so we can gather us up some snacks with a little luck to take back to camp with us for the build part of this live stream. So for those of you just joining us, we are currently on a hike to the grocery store of the forest. I'm hoping that back here in this meadow area we'll find some blackberries. And normally the whitetail hold up in this area too. It's a cutout for power lines. Whenever they do that, they tend to let the grasses grow wild and that's almost always very thorny plants and blackberry patches. It's a good supplement for the deer herds, helps keep them healthy and gives them the vitamins that they need, and it also helps us out get a little bit of a sugar rush before we start building on the damn cottage. So it's a foraging expedition. We'll see if we can gather up some blackberries back here, and then on the way back out we'll be hunting for our turkey feathers. These are the kind of things that I like to have growing down around my camp. Color bursts like that. The forest is so dark, any kind of fungus or flower or anything like that that adds color to it and brightens things up a bit, I want those at my camp. Later on next spring up here in this area, we'll be setting out some things for a shed hunt. See if we can bring the bucks that are in this woods up in here into these open spaces and increase our odds of being able to find some deer antler. And I think we'll be heading down to HB's herd and running with him during the shed hunt too. Don't know how much we're going to find because there's so much competition down there, but up here I'm the only one in this forest. I'm the only one that's ever in this forest. Coming up on the meadow. You guys are gonna love the view from up here. I got the iPhone streaming about face high where I can see the live chat window, and you guys are seeing exactly what I'm seeing from the same height. I'm actually looking around my phone just so I can see where I'm going. You guys are getting the same perspective, the same angle, the same height, everything as my eyes are. So I can basically look at my screen right now and walk through the woods, because if I was to move this away, it's just like taking a empty frame out. I always thought this was a pretty good outdoors experience. Live streaming like this, you can film a hike, you can film your time at camp, and you can go home and spend all that time editing it up and doing all that kind of shit. Or you can find a way to just live stream it, and whatever happens, happens. Purely organic. There's no script, there's no plan. It's whatever happens, happens. We can't edit it, we can't censor it, we can't filter it. It just is what it is, and that's about as real as you can get it. This is the south end, right up here. Meadow's starting to dull down a little bit. Fall is setting in quick, and I'm thinking we need to be settling in for a long winter. So getting the cottage itself finished off and completely closed in is a priority for this next week, and then throughout the next month just doing the fine detail work. Here's the view from the south end, guys. Now the forest does go on a little bit further, obviously, down there in that valley, but this is the southernmost point. This is the southeast point of the forest where our Bushcraft build is at. We have yet to hike down into that valley, but that's going to be coming up on a later episode. So when I was first exploring this woods, I was checking the deer trails out. I always followed the deer trails first, and there's a couple of deer trails over there on that ridge that we might be able to follow down into that secondary forest that's over there on the other side of the meadow. That is going to be a long and painful hike because the terrain is so chopped up, it's crazy. I had to be in shape for that one. But yeah, that's the next adventure, our long-term adventure. Maybe a day hike, or maybe even an overnighter. We'll hike down in through there, see what's out there, camp, and then try to make our way back safely. Up here is the meadow where we're going to start looking around, and she's dried up pretty good. She's looking awful dull, but we'll get in there and see what we might be able to find. if anything. Shouldn't have too much trouble. Just hiking along the edge of the woods here, looking for an easy access point. And there ain't no point in going into that thicket patch if, one, I don't have an easy way in or out, and two, there's nothing out there to forage. But we're going to take a look around here and see what we might be able to find. Oh, that brightened up a bit. See, I'm seeing a lot of thorny bushes out here, but no blackberry clusters, which is what I was hoping to see. Got some deer beds all through here, which is nice. But we might be too late for the harvest on the blackberries. Probably about a week or two too late. It's just been so damn dry here. And I'm not really seeing anything down in this area. Blackberries I noticed before were further to the west. These grasses make great cover for the deer, but not someplace you normally see people trying to camp out and do an overnighter in. They always tend to go just inside the woods. I don't know if that works out to their advantage or not, because if I was out here in an open area, I'd be able to see anything that was coming up on me before they could see me. The grass camouflages everything. The only thing you have to worry about is the damn bugs, ticks, and things like that. A lot of butterflies flying around out here. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to catch those on camera or not. But I'm not seeing blackberries, guys. We got skunked on that deal. So, before our stream goes too long here, we'll start hiking back into the woods. We're gonna follow the one tributary. We'll stay towards the top of the valley. We're gonna be cutting up through this flat area. We are on the hunt for turkey feathers this second round. Too late on the berries. So we'll go try to hunt our feathers down, get back to camp, and then we'll start our build. As I'm walking through here, I might have some periods during this part of the hike where I get quiet. If I happen to get quiet, that's just because I heard something off in the distance, and I'm trying not to spook it, so maybe we can catch it right here on the live stream. I do have some bird calls off in the distance where they're warning everybody that I'm coming back into the woods. Check this out. That's a hell of a cluster. There's another one right beside it. Right here at the edge where they can get a little bit of light are protected by the canopy. They don't have to worry about the weather or anything like that. Obviously the soil in here is a lot richer. There's nothing in here to tap the soil out. And we're making our way back to camp now, guys. Once we get back to camp, we'll settle in for a minute and get to our build for the day. This is the kind of thing that's got me motivated. Leaves are changing quick. For I know it, all this green's gonna be gone. And when winter sets in here, it tends to sit in for 5 or 6 months before the green comes back. The green is just fleeting, I guess I could want to say. It doesn't last long enough, at least not long enough for me. I do love my green woods. in the wintertime, everything turns gray, and of course then the snow. Coming down a bit of a step here. Not sure how many of you are still with me. Is the stream going okay? While I'm hiking along here, I'll pay attention to the chat window. Have we had any buffering or lag issues? I got a squirrel throwing nuts at me. Hiked all the way back here and didn't see nothing. I'm wondering if the wild turkeys are staying right there at the ridge above camp, or we found all the damn feathers. I'm not wandering around too much anymore. It makes sense because I put out seed and things like that when the turkeys will come right down into camp and feed. They go up there at the top of the ridge for the cover, and they keep coming back down because we got 2 tributaries there. Shallow water sources are hot spots for wild turkeys to start grouping up together in. We got plenty of that around camp. Not seeing any sign of them up here in the wide open spaces though. Won't be too long before we're back at camp. We can settle in for our build. As I was saying there at the beginning of the stream, our build is going to have some stone accents to the front face, and then we'll be building the doorway and the front walls all to resemble a storybook cottage. We're going to start on the accents today. Then I got to come back out, spend a day wood processing and getting the rest of the timber cut for the back wall, and to go ahead and close in the front. Hopefully by the end of the week we have ourselves a solid structure, and at least the first layer of clay that'll go over top of it will be on there and can set up. And then whenever I come back out, I'll be chinking up the beams from the inside with more clay and cob where it's all airtight, watertight, and all that fun stuff, and start doing the winter prep. Winters are really harsh in this area. I'm right in the middle of a snow belt on the edge of the Great Lakes, so when that snow belt starts kicking up, these areas tend to get buried, and it gets really fucking cold. Just because of all that north wind coming across the lake, there's nothing out there to stop it. Blowing across the ice, it gets even fucking colder. It picks up speed, and by the time it gets to these valleys, whenever it shoots down through here, it's like an icy wind tunnel, and everything in its path just freezes. So having good insulation on our shelter is important. We have to have that thing kind of bulky, and we have to have a good fireplace and chimney in it to be able to come out here in the winter and be able to make it through the night. So we come to the north end of the flat. This is the valley leading down into the second tributary. We'll be hiking down through there, as I said earlier, and building a camp somewhere along there, but I'm not entirely sure where. So we're just going to follow the top of the ridge till we get up to our main river running through the forest. And then we'll slide down, get back to camp, and start building. Once we get back to camp, before I start turning it into a muddy mess, mixing up cob, we'll sit down, try to get some more people here in the chat so you guys can mix and mingle with each other, meet each other. If you don't know each other, check each other's channels out and all that fun stuff. And we'll get some more people up in here for the build itself, which is what I'm sure a lot of folks came to see right off the get. They weren't expecting me to take off on a hike whenever I should be down there working on the shelter itself. But there's more to being out in the wilderness than just sitting at your camp. If you're out here, if you just come into the woods, go straight to camp and sit on your ass, you're kind of missing it. You're missing the point. I see far too many people doing that. They never, at least they never film exploring the finer details of the forest that they happen to be in. And the forest that I'm in, yeah, I think it's worth seeing. So this is something that I like sharing, where you guys get that first person perspective. You're seeing what I'm seeing, and this is what you would see if you were just walking through the woods with me. I think that matters, and I think more people should do that kind of thing. It's not just about walking straight to camp, busting out your gear, showing off your gear, and then walking home after you fixed yourself up some lunch. Try to do it a little bit different. Somebody's got to be different. All right. This looks like a pretty good spot to drop down, right? Kinda, maybe, sorta. It's gonna be a bit of a slide, but this is the way we're going. Bear with me here, guys. I might get a little shaky. We're gonna be doing a huntsman slide here in a minute, I'm thinking. Been streaming for about 40 minutes now. I did have a couple of people on Facebook and Twitter let me know that they would be joining in the live chat and the build about an hour after the stream started. Those boys are at work right now, and they're going to join in with us as soon as they get off of work. I worked last night. I worked from 7 o'clock at night till 4 o'clock this morning. Got a little bit of sleep, ate some lunch, and came straight out here without too many pauses. And just got a lot of work to do. And we have a lot planned for this week. Goddamn raccoons. That's a raccoon there, boys and girls. And that's something that you really don't want to fuck with, and you don't want to let your kids mess with raccoon scat. And the reason you don't want to let them mess with raccoon scat is because that shit is full of parasites. Ugh, it's not good. There's a remnants of a beauty. Looks like two of them had grown together and their caps clashed, but they actually fused. It's like Siamese twins. So you can see the stems are connected down there at the bottom. They grew up at the same inward angle, and their caps touched, and actually touched long enough during that life process for them to fuse together. They're pretty well stuck. Huh. But that was a beautiful mushroom before it got all tore up. Usually find these mid-summer. These and the wax shelves are pretty common red mushrooms in my area. Let's get on back down here to the valley. We'll see what we can find wandering along the tributary. We're about halfway down the ridge, so there's the up, there's the down. It's gonna suck either way I go. Going down, I kind of have to slide, and going up, it's just brutal. But from the midway point, I can sort of scout the area, and I can look for an easier trail down there at the bottom. Alright, yeah, we can go down right here. Whoa. From this side, we're dropping down into the main tributary. This takes us straight back to our camp. But it's a bit of a slide getting back down the hill. I'm actually almost crouched completely down in order to slide down this without losing my balance. On terrain like this, I do not hesitate to crouch down and slide my way down. These banks and gullies and shit like that, having a low center of gravity just keeps you from tumbling over. It's better to slide than to roll. And most of these banks are really slick clay, or they're loose shale. So it kind of sucks. There's really nothing to give you a strong foothold as you're going down through it. So all you can do is get low and slide. Hey, welcome to the stream. We're sliding down into this creek bank right now, so it might be a little shaky here for a second. Whoa, just run on down there. All right, back on the highway. This here is the main tributary that heads straight back up to my camp. So, we got skunked on the blackberry hunt. A little bit too late for them. Maybe a week or two too late for them. Thought there'd be some back there and there wasn't. Now in a survival situation, if I thought there was a food source somewhere and I hiked all the way to that food source and it wasn't there for whatever reason, that would be extremely fucking frustrating, for one, and a massive waste of calories that now you don't have anything to replace. So today I'm just out here on a day hike, and we're going to get back to camp, and we're going to do some of our accent work on the shelter. But in a survival situation, especially if you're out here for days at a time, you want to put forth the least amount of effort for the maximum amount of reward. You want to be lazy as hell whenever you're in the woods. In a survival situation, you do not want to be hiking. You do not want to be doing a massive building project. You don't want to be doing any of that shit. You want to save as much energy and as many calories as possible. So unless you are absolutely sure that you are going to get food by hiking through the woods and going over terrain like this, you just don't do it. You don't burn up the energy on a maybe. I have a little bit of water here I have to jump off. It's only about a 3-foot drop. Hold on, guys. I'll try not to drop you. So that's what it looks like when you're live streaming, jumping across the creek. Sorry about that. As I was saying there, guys, you don't want to be hiking. You don't want to be burning up a lot of energy and trying to showboat in a survival situation. If anything, you want to just lay around on your ass like a lazy old lion and sleep until you are absolutely sure that you can kill something to eat or gather something to eat. And unless you're 100% sure, just don't burn the energy trying to do it. You might put yourself in a worse situation than you were when you started. This is looking different. I'll tell you what, we're gonna go up. Everything down here shifted around. This boulder wasn't here before. foot. We're gonna climb up this boulder. We're gonna try to jump up on this bank without breaking a leg. Hang on. Easy little hop. This is some rough going. There's a lot more down trees down here. There goes my plane. Check these out. Stop and smell the flowers every once in a while, y'all. It's images like that you can't fake. See all these people like professional photographers? They come out here and they spend hours trying to capture a goddamn photo of something like that. And here we are, just doing it right here on a live stream. But you can guarantee I'll go back through this live stream and take still images of that so other people that didn't get to join in this evening can see it for themselves. I'm in a whole meadow of those things right here. I thought dropping down here to the creek bank was going to be easy route back to the camp, and so far that's not the case. I'm trying to cross this right now. There's a boulder down there in the middle. If I can get across this without tearing up the stuff that's growing on it. Check that out. I don't want to step on those. If I can get across this though, I can drop back down into the creek and we have a little bit easier route there. Bear with me, guys. Probably not what you were anticipating seeing, but you know, live, anything can happen on a Huntsman live stream. You don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do from 1 minute to the next. Let's drop down here. I want to check something out. This is where our blue shale is breaking off of. As the floodwaters come through, this blue shale breaks up, and as it tumbles down the creek, it breaks up into fragments. Eventually, this stuff turns to clay. It breaks up so much. But this is one of the shelves where it's just tumbling down the creek, and this is what we gather up to build our stone floor with and kind of lighten things up a little bit. That's a pretty heavy deposit of it coming down through here. It's also very slick to walk on. Not so much once it crumbles. Once it crumbles, it gives you a good grip, but whenever it's flat like this and got a little bit of water on it, it's slick as ice. Here's a spiral grain log. That's actually a tree trunk. It's got a little bit of the spiral grain to it anyway. If I was a logger, I'd be gathering them damn things up, making me a table and a chair and a dresser and all this other shit out of that spiral grain wood. It's beautiful wood. I love that shit. Over and under. None of this back here looks familiar. The forest changes. It, you know, storms come through, floodwaters come through, it changes the landscape. What you used to see isn't there anymore, and you got shit like all of these down trees that weren't here before that are here now. Everything back here looks different than it was the first time I hiked back here. The bonus that I have is all of these tributaries flow in the same direction. They're all flowing towards the main river. Right here I'm on a huge shale shelf that broke apart right here. This had to be a soft spot. Made this tiny ass little waterfall with about a 2-3 foot deep pool right there at the bottom of it. It's pretty. But you can see how the shelf broke apart all the way across there. This was just a soft spot and the water finally eroded it away. Washed it all downstream. Here we go. Another jump. A long way up, y'all. Either way we go. Should be getting closer and closer to camp though. Seeing a lot more crystal down here in these stony areas along the creek. Mostly milky white quartz. And there's some more like this here. It's blue shale, but it's fossilized. So you can see the blue in there, but it's like coral. This is a fragment from when this entire area was an inland sea back just after the last ice age. So that piece of coral right there was actually underneath an inland sea, a freshwater sea. Dinosaur might have shit on that. And in this area, about the same time from where this rock came from, we had armored sharks swimming around in this forest that you see here today. We get other crystal structures like that there. That's fairly common for the area. See a lot of blue and white, gray crystal structures like this. I tend to gather them up, go out rock hounding every once in a while, and gather shit like that up. Guess where our fucking berries went? Goddamn raccoons. What the hell was he eating? Looks like he was eating either wild grapes or wild cherries. Let's get over this shit. The geology of your area can help you out a lot whenever you're building your camp and learning the type of stones and things like that that are common to your area. Can lead you on some whole new adventures. Check this out. There's a piece of this is a big old hunk of quartz crystal that's mixed in with the blue shale, so it's kind of a hybrid stone. Again, this is the kind of thing that was at the bottom of the inland seabed back during the last ice age. That's where this kind of thing formed at. Beautiful kind of rock, but when it dries out you don't see the grain in it and things like that. It looks a lot different, but you can see where water's cut through it, maybe even a glacial groove where ice has started forming that crack down there at the bottom. That might have been the top part, the first piece that was exposed to it, made that perfect cut in there, cut by water. So as I was saying there, I know my area is full of sandstone, which is good for building, and even sharpening your knife if you can find the right type of sandstone. It makes for a pretty decent makeshift whetstone. The blue shale lights up at night. It reflects light really well, so anytime you get blue shale or a light colored shale, you can use that to pave pathways, things like that, to help you see your way at night by moonlight rather than artificial light. So if your flashlight goes out or something like that, you still have a reflective light source. You gotta know what kind of stone is good to use inside of your fire pit. You don't want to be just grabbing any old stone out of the creek bank to build your fire pit with, because some of them hold moisture, and whenever that moisture gets hot enough, the rocks themselves actually explode inside your fire, and they'll send out shards of hot rock right into your face because you didn't know what you were doing when you were gathering your stone. Get shelves like this, check that out. Completely different geology. So we have this kind of light stone here, primarily made out of sandstone and sediment, and then just below it you have all of this real loose gravelly shale, and there's this perfect line right there that distinguishes the two. So that's a geological event. Something happened right there on that day or that time period to change the forest floor from this loose blue shale to that harder sediment. This was before the Ice Age. This was after. So this is what the soil was like before the glacier came through, and once the glacier covered everything up, it all stopped. As the glacier melted, it formed an inland sea, and the bottom of that inland sea was obviously a lot of sand and sediment and things like that, and that's what formed this rock here. So after the glacier melted, and then the inland sea finally drained away into what is now the Great Lakes, it left behind this evidence of what happened here. This is before the Ice Age. This is after the inland sea dried up. And then on top of that, the forest grew. So we are standing at the bottom of an ocean that turned into this forest that you're seeing right here on the live stream right now. That prehistoric sea held armored sharks, a lot of other dinosaur species. Most of them were armored. There wasn't a lot of soft-bellied creatures. All of the fossils and things like that they've gathered up through this area, almost everything in this seabed was armored. The sharks themselves had almost like an armor helmet on them and razor sharp beaks. Not just their teeth on the inside of their mouth, but beaks. And holy balls, look at this. This is not native to my area. Oh my God, guys. That is the biggest piece of quartz that I have ever found on any of my hikes. That thing is massive, and it probably weighs a ton. It's got shades of rose quartz in it, which is not native to my area, that I can make out from the algae. Oh my God, and it goes down deep. That is a massive piece of quartz crystal right there. And I don't even know if I could dislodge that thing so we can see just how big it is. You want to try it? Y'all with me to try to pull this thing out and see how big it is? This is the kind of thing that I would take back to my camp, just because it's that damn rare. This does not belong here. So we do have milky quartz in the area, small pebbles. Let me see if I can find some right here. Like right here. We have these small pebbles of milky quartz like this here, and that was part of the seabed. That was very common this is very common for the area. This is part of the seabed, and a lot of this stone around here is common to the seabed. What is not common is rose quartz. Rose quartz is not native to my area. So whenever I find a chunk like this that's got hints of the red rose in it, if you can make that out. You see that pink color right in there? If I was to clean this up with acid, a lot of this would probably be rose quartz. Rose quartz is not native to my area, so this came out of the glacier itself. This was probably picked up in Canada. It was frozen in the ice, and as the glacier traveled down into the States, it carried this thing along with it. As the glacier melted, it dropped this off, and about 14 million years later, this creek that we're standing in now cut it out of these banks. So the seabed, we know, was 14 million years ago. The inland sea was about 14 million years ago. This came before that. And it formed way before that, up in Canada. So we know that it's only been here in this forest for 14 million years. It's got great fragments to it, reflective fragments to it. It's kind of sparkly. It's got some smooth sides to it. It's got a lot of rose mixed into it, which is giving me that hint that this thing came from the glacier rather than anywhere else. And I just know that because I found pure rose quartz that you can see right through, and I took it to the Natural History Museum, and they were more than helpful teaching me about the native rocks in my area and the type of crystals that I should be finding out here, as opposed to what I was finding out here. What I was finding out here is not supposed to exist. So the collection of rose quartz crystals that I got isn't supposed to exist just because they're not native to the area, that they came out of the glacier. There goes my fucking helicopter. I'm down here. Fuck you then. Didn't want to be rescued anyway. So yeah, what I was saying there before we got interrupted by the damn old search chopper, the Natural History Museum was more than helpful with teaching me about this kind of thing. So whenever I come across something like this, I know how rare it is. This is something that I actually want to remember where it's at, and I want to try to get this damn thing out of the ground. There is no way that I could, there is no way that I could get a chunk like that back home. But I might be able to get it back to camp if I make a sled and take it straight down the creek bank. Use this creek bank as kind of a, damn, I ought to do it when it's flooding. Or semi-flooding. Just float it down. Slide it right across. Man, I want to pull that out. But we got things to do, guys. I'm going to remember that chunk is there. That's the biggest piece of quartz crystal that I've ever found out there. A little bit of history lesson, but we got to get back to camp. We got some other things to do. We've already been going for over an hour. So we're going to have to come back and try to find this again a little bit later on. Maybe I could come up with a rig tonight where I can get it back up to the shelter. Let me see just how far we're going from the shelter, though. And I want to try to landmark this a little bit. I'm actually using the live stream right now, guys, to film this area. I want to capture this on film where this stone is at and kind of cover this area. That way, whenever I come back to hunt for it, I can actually use the live stream as the map to come back here and find the crystal. So if I scout around this area and we take a shot from this way, you see this point right here. Know that little point. I can take that photograph, take a still image, keep it on my phone, and then whenever I'm hiking back through here trying to find that crystal, I know I have to find that point, and the crystal should be right beside it. So I'll use the live stream to find my way back to that crystal tomorrow or Wednesday. I'll be out here all week. So. But we do got to get back to camp so we can get our accents built on the structure. Got a little bit of work there to do. We're not going to be streaming forever tonight. But I did title this that we were going to be building. So a hike and a build. We just happened to be running into some shit along the way. That's throwing our attention off a little bit, but that's okay. That's what it's about. And as I'm going through here, since I've seen that big ass chunk back there, I'm looking for smaller fragments, because if that big one's here, the chances of there being smaller fragments up in through here are pretty good. Here's how the shale starts breaking up as it comes down. This is what we break up with the axe. It's real easy to break up with just the blunt end of your axe or a hammer or something like that. Look, I mean, it just crumbles apart in your hand. whenever it gets to this stage, it's almost like clay. You could probably actually use that to draw with. It's kind of like a crayon texture. This is just just the very outer edge could be rubbed off for clay, using for markings, things like that. You can also grind that up and make your own war paint. For anybody who has jumped in there in the live chat window, I do apologize if I missed your comments. I'm not trying to ignore you guys. I'm just trying to give you the best and most entertaining long-ass live streams that I can. Whenever we get back to camp, I will sit down and talk to you guys a little bit where I'm just focused straight on the chat window and not on everything that's going on around me. Check that shit out. Yeah. Remember that spiral grain wood I told you I was making into a walking stick? This is the spiral grain wood that I'm making into a walking stick. Of course, it's not that big of a diameter. This is actually the outer bark that got twisted up on this, but look how beautiful that is. Isn't that gorgeous? It's like a giant fucking unicorn horn. I love this shit. I wish I could get enough of this wood back home to build something out of. Actually build something, you know. Go through the whole process of stripping a log like this down, getting that grain brought out with some linseed oil or something like that, and actually building a bed or a chair or a table or anything out of that. That is just beautiful wood. And rare, especially a spiral that strong. This tree was under a lot of stress whenever she was growing. You don't see that too often, right? The Emerald Forest, all full of surprises. I know where we're at now, and I know how to get to that crystal, but it is going to be a pain in the ass getting it back to camp. We're almost back to camp now, so it looks like it's about a quarter-mile drag to get that chunk of quartz back to our camp, and it's over a lot of rocky area like this shit here. That would be a pain in the ass getting over that. I need a pretty good sled. But if I was in the creek like this, sections like this, if I make a big enough sled out of like a quarter round, a tree trunk, a hollowed out tree trunk, I could just slide it right across this shit. It's just getting it over the rocky areas that would be the problem. But this would be easy. So the northern part, that's the southern part of our creek, has changed drastically, and we got that big ass piece of quartz crystal up there that's like the fucking crown jewel of crystals. I want to show you guys something here real quick. It just caught my eye. We've been talking about the geology, the stones, and the rarity of that crystal, and how that crystal came from the last ice age. The glacier dropped it off. Well, here is a bigger example of just how powerful that glacier really was. Here's another boulder. This is a glacial drop too. This thing was floating inside a chunk of mile-high ice, and as the ice melted, it dropped that boulder off. That's red sandstone. You can see the sedimentary layers there. That thing was drug quite a ways, and that is a massive boulder. Let me turn it around here real quick. So you see my ugly mug compared to that boulder. That's a glacial drop. And then straight down here, we have another one. Since this one is closer to the creek bottom, it's smoothed out a lot more. But another boulder right there laying in the woods. When these boulders are laying in the middle of the forest like that, and there's not a lot of other stone around them, like a cliff that it's broken off of and rolled down here, that's a glacial boulder. That was tumbling around in the ice As the glacier melted, it dropped and then was probably buried. It was probably buried under, you know, 100 feet of topsoil. And then as the creeks formed, it just exposed it. That's the kind of shit that's happening out here. So when we're down here at the bottom of the creek, what we see at the bottom of this creek is some of the oldest materials in the forest. Everything all the way up there at the top of the ridge is the new stuff. Down here, this is stuff that's been dug up from millions and millions and millions of years ago. And this happens to be right down from our camp. Got another nice chunk of blue shale that came up right there. Camp is just around the corner, up yonder there. So we're close. We're gonna get back. I'm gonna have to get you guys plugged in, recharge the iPhone. We already tapped out almost a full battery here. Let's just go under it. We'll get back up to the build. We got at least one accent that we're gonna do today. Today was more about getting the live stream series for this next week kicked off, get the message out there that we will be live streaming every day this week, and we got different events planned for each day. We might be hiking. We're going to be doing some work with a compound bow and doing some target shooting. We're going to be down here at the Bushcraft build hanging out, eating our lunches, having a damn good time, probably drinking a few beers before it's all said and done, because that's the kind of thing we like to do on our live streams. And we're trying to get this shelter closed in, pretty much wrapped up this week. That way we have the entire fall to just sit out on our asses at camp and enjoy it, hang out with each other and swap campfire stories. And then we go into the winter months, where we're coming out here with some harsh weather bushcraft survival lessons. And we'll be live streaming in the wintertime too. So whenever it comes to the winter survival stuff, you guys will see me out here with frost in my beard on a fucking live stream. That's just because how we do it. And right here, we are back at camp. So we get up here, we'll get everything wired up so we can get a recharge. Camp is at the last fork in the creek. Creek's actually cleaned up pretty good here. I got some acorns. That little black spot right there has a pile of acorns, got minnows swimming all around it. I got about maybe, I don't know, only about 2-3 dozen minnows that stayed right here in this pool. They don't tend to wander off too much, but if I ever needed fishing bait, I got it right here beside the camp. Oh. Well, we didn't find no damn turkey feathers. We didn't find no damn blackberries, but we found a 14-million-year-old piece of quartz crystal that's not supposed to exist. I did dig this one up out of the creek and put it up here as an accent stone. That's quartz crystal too, but it ain't nowhere big or as fine as that one we found back at the back. Whew. We're gonna make plans to go back here and get that thing. One way or another, we're gonna figure out a way to haul that goddamn ton of a crystal up here to the camp. We just gotta get creative, and we gotta do it caveman style, because you can't cheat with that kind of thing. I'm out here doing all the wilderness stuff, and we're using primitive tools and basic hand tools to build our camp with. I come out on overnighters with no survival gear at all, and I do all this other shit. There is no way I'm gonna cheat trying to get that crystal back here to camp. I'll come up with something with the materials that I have right around here at the camp to haul that damn thing up here with. We gotta get you guys hooked up to life support. Hey Jefferson, thanks for stopping by, brother. Glad you made it. We just got done with a long ass hike. Had a geology lesson. We got skunked on finding us some food. And we did not make it up this ridge behind me to get the turkey feathers I need to finish off my walking stick project. The walking stick project, you can see that on the Crafty Crap playlist there on the channel. I found this spiral grain wood down here at camp as I was gathering up the wood for the build, and it was gone. Like, this shit was dead and punky and rotten, and I went through a 2-week long process of restoring the wood and hardening it back up. And you can see how I did that there on the Crafty Crap section of the channel. I'm getting you guys hooked up to the battery pack right now because you're about to die. I gotta save you. So yeah, I restored the wood and got that all fixed up, and then I took one of the shed antlers from HB's herd. It was actually the small buck's antler, and we crowned this spiral grain walking stick with that antler. And then the other thing we got going on is we got the wild turkeys that always come into the area, so we're going to take try to gather up some turkey feathers of the right size and put them just below the deer antler. So we're going to try to represent each animal from the series on this walking stick. That's the overall goal of it. So we have an antler from HB's herd. We have a feather from the turkeys that come right down here to the Bushcraft build that you can see on the trail cam footage there on the channel. We also have raccoons, squirrels, all that kind of stuff. We can get pieces of them to throw up there too during hunting season. So, you know, squirrel tail, coon tail, something like that. We'll have all of that on this one walking stick. So all of the animals from the Emerald Forest are represented on this one walking stick. And it's basically a showpiece. It's not like something that I'll be carrying with me, but it's something that I would have hung up in my house, and it would be kind of like almost like a photo album turned into a walking stick. So I can look at this walking stick and it represents each of the animals that I most commonly experience out here in the forest. So that's the goal there. I'm just taking a break here, guys. That was a long ass hike. That hike went a lot longer than I thought it would. I need a breather. I appreciate that. I try to be informative, and I try to do it different. That's why whenever I was hiking, I did not have the camera on me. I try to keep the camera forward, so you guys are seeing exactly what I'm seeing. You guys who were with me right here in the live stream uncovered that crystal with me. I wasn't by myself when I found that crystal. That thing's massive, ain't it? And I get excited when I find stuff like that just because it's so rare. I know how rare it is, and I know what the Natural History Museum would do to get their hands on that damn rock. We're going to drag it up here to camp. That's like the heart of this forest right here. That thing has been here before any of this. Finding that on a live stream with you guys, that was awesome as hell. Just capturing it live. We captured that moment where that initial excitement, you know, you didn't have to fake it for the video. It was that moment, that one irreplaceable, you can't fake it, you can't reshoot it. That moment happened right here on the live stream. So yeah, it's not too far back there. It's only about a quarter of a mile back down the creek. And I do have a couple of logs here, hollowed out trunks that I might be able to turn into a sled if I can get that thing pulled up out of the ground. I don't know how deep down into the ground it goes, but when I tried to move it, it was lodged in there good. So I might be mining that thing out like a fucking dwarf, trying to pull this crystal out of the bedrock of the forest and bring it back up here to camp. Thing is, once I get it up here to camp, what am I going to do with it then? Because if I just wait, the floodwaters are going to carry it down here. It's right in the main tributary. It's going to wash right past camp. But I don't want it getting tore up on the way down here. I want to try to preserve as much of it as I can. And if that thing don't break away before the winter freeze gets here, the ice could form in cracks of that crystal and just bust it all apart. And instead of having this giant crystal, I have just fragments, which would be a hell of a lot easier to move. But yeah, size does matter. That thing is, it doesn't have inherent value. Like, you can find quartz crystals on the market for a few bucks. You can get a pretty good sized crystal for a few bucks. The value that it has for me is the time that it's been here. That thing's a time capsule. It's this metaphysical connection to the land, and the history of the land. Knowing the geology of the land gives me that more personal connection with the forest, because I know what this was before it was a forest. I know what I'm looking at on the ground, just because of the history that I've taken in, you know, trying to learn the geology, trying to learn about the Ice Age, trying to learn about the inland sea, whenever all this was underwater. Like, during the Ice Age, the ice sheet was a mile high. So everything that you see around me was covered in a mile high sheet of ice. And then whenever that melted, it didn't go nowhere. All that water didn't go nowhere. It sat right here. And it sat here long enough for dinosaurs and fossils, columns of coral the size of 3-story houses are out here in these forests that were the bottom of the seabed. So these columns of coral going up 3 stories. How high was the water up above that? So, you know, and then for it to all recede and leave this forest 14 million years later, knowing that kind of thing, knowing the history of the dirt, gives you a deeper connection with the forest, because you know what this land went through in order for this forest to form. And it's an amazing thing. And whenever you find stuff like that giant crystal back there that it's not supposed to exist here, like it's not native crystal, it didn't form from magma beneath the surface here and rise up. It was carried by that glacier, buried under the sea, at the bottom of a sea. And then the sea had to drain. The forest grew up around it. A tributary started cutting through the forest, and it took 14 million years to get down to that crystal and dig it up, just so we could find it on the live stream right here today. You see what I'm saying? That kind of thing. And that's one less mosquito. That kind of thing matters. So it's more than just coming out here building a shelter. Just listen to that story I told you. That happened right here. If you don't know that kind of thing about your area, check it out. You might be amazed at some of the shit that you could find in the forest if you know where to look. So, we are going to get started on this one accent. It is. I'm not a big hit, like, I'm not obsessively reading about, like, prehistoric history and shit like that. I just wanted to know what was going on in the woods, because as I was hiking, I was finding different things. That's what started my interest in it. I was out fishing one day when I found my first rose quartz crystal. And that started this whole process of, I want to find a bigger piece of crystal. If I found one the size of a quarter, maybe there's a bigger one, and a bigger one, and a bigger one. And the biggest one I have at home is about yay big, about the size of my chest. And it's pure rose quartz crystal. I got it from almost 6-7 years of tracking this shit down, just hunting for them, and reasoning it out. If the crystals were at this point in the river, where were they coming from? So I would go upriver. I would check every island, every sandy bank, every rocky bank, and I would search and search and search until I finally found a place where there was just 100 of them laying on the ground, and they were all breaking away from this Ice Age deposit. So I go to the Natural History Museum, and I was like, what happened here? And the curator of the mineralogy department, or geology department, you know, me and him had a long conversation and developed a pretty good friendship of this adventure I had that started off with finding a crystal while I was out fishing. You know, and then tracking it to the source, to that glacial deposit. So yeah, the crystals are valuable to the area, valuable to the Natural History Museum, just because of the adventure they went on to get here. Anyway, moving away from the treasure hunt and the obsession over that big ass fucking chunk of crystal that's back there, I'm going to start working on the accents, the 2-stone accents, these triangle sections of the shelter this evening. We're going to get those closed in, at least one of them closed in here today. And then we will be back out here all week long doing live streams at different times, working on the shelter. So we're going to get at least one of the accents done today. We got to gather up some more material for tomorrow's live stream. Then we'll be putting our door in. Whenever we get to the door, I actually have to, I'll show you here real quick. we have to put the beams in for the door and the front wall before we can bring the roof up to pinch it off. So I have some wood cutting I have to do there. I have to get the 2 pieces cut out for my doorway. I have to get the beams that go all the way up and down the sides. We have to get the stone accents done. We have to get longer beams for the roof, and then we have to get the cross beams for the back wall. We have a lot of work to do, and it's all going to get done this week. Whenever I'm doing this, for those of you who might be new, I come out here and I try to do most of the labor part, as far as gathering the material, the wood processing, mixing up the cob and all that shit before the live stream. I did not do that today. Today was, I wanted to slow it down a little bit. We wanted to explore the forest and see if we could have ourselves an adventure, which we did. But I do have some material that I'm going to be gathering up here this evening that'll help us get this build closed in this week. Wood processing is going to be tomorrow morning. I don't have to work tomorrow, so I could come out here, I could do all the cutting tomorrow morning, and then we'll be streaming again tomorrow afternoon to put the wood that I process on in the morning. We'll get that on the shelter. So I come out here, I do the processes, we put our hands on the shelter during the live stream. I also smoke and drink on my live stream, so if the kids are watching, tell them to go to bed. So tonight we're going to be gathering up some stuff. I'm going to show you, slow things down a little bit, show you how and where I gathered the things up for this particular build. And then we'll get our hands on the structure itself and actually do the build. So in order to get this one triangle over here done, I got the stone up here already. I hauled it up from the creek bank. We should have enough stone there to close that one triangle in. But in order to close it in, I have to go get the clay and get it mixed up. So I have, you know, the cob in there to hold it all together. It's got to set up, and then it'll need at least one more layer on top of it to fill in all the cracks as it dries and shrinks up some. So I'll at least get that accent done. You guys will see how I gather it up, how I mix it up, how I put it all together. We let it set. Probably by Wednesday it'll be ready for the second coat. We can put the second coat on, and that one will be done. And then that's going to give us that sort of house shape. Once we get the accents done, it'll give us that overall house shape. And then up until that point, half of this shelter is getting buried underground. So we still got that to do yet too. Up into the beams, it's going to be covered in dirt. So about 2.5 feet of the shelter is going to be buried. And the reason I'm doing that is because it blends it into the hillside one. And it turns our cottage into a living structure. Having topsoil, a layer of topsoil on this section here, is going to allow the greenery to grow across there. It gives us a hell of a windbreak in the wintertime too. It's like a draft guard for the winter. But come next spring, that draft guard that we put up in the wintertime is going to be loaded with seed, because we're going to make it out of topsoil from the forest. So there's going to be wildflowers growing on our shelter. And that's one of the things that I want. Whenever you guys see, if it all turns out right next spring, whenever you guys see this thing next spring, it's going to blow your fucking mind. But we're chronicling it all here. So my first step is to gather up my clay. And in order to gather up my clay, we got the old basket here, and this is just a piece of one of the trunks down there. This is the same, probably the same tree that I'll make the sled out of to bring that crystal up to camp. We're bringing all of our rock and all of our clay up to camp in this basket. We'll make a little bit bigger one, see if we can drag that damn crystal from back there up here to camp a little bit later. But this is what I gather up all my clay in to haul it up here. We got mixing pits in the back. We got water already back there. Should be able to mix up enough here on the live stream to get this one section filled in here. So you guys are going to have to bear with me here for a second. We are going to be going down to the bank. I'll take you with me. I'll set you back a ways there. We'll try to prop you guys up where we can just capture getting the clay out of the bank here on film, and you guys can see it all happen right here live. So let's go down there right quick. We'll get you guys set up, and then I'll see what I can do about filling this basket up with clay and hauling you guys back up here with a full basket of clay. And it's the design of the basket that's going to help me carry you guys and about 20 pounds of clay up here at the same damn time with no problem, just because of the curve that we cut into it, and it can fit right there in my rib cage, so it rests on my hip bone. I still have one hand free, so that's how we're going to do that. That little curve makes all the difference. You guys around. I'm going to go right down here to the bank where I normally harvest the clay. We'll set you guys up. I'll get this basket filled up, and we'll get our hands on some fucking building. Now we've been streaming out here for over an hour. Multitasking here, holding a tripod with an iPhone attached to it. I got a basket on my hip that I'm about to fill with clay, and we get the clay from right there over there in that bank. So I'm gonna set you guys right down here on this side, just because that blue shell you see there at the bottom is really slick at times, and I don't want to drop you guys in the water or anything like that. So I just go up there on the other side of that log you see, and I gather up the clay out of the bank, put it in a basket, haul it back up to camp, and then we mix it in a pit that we got dug there behind the camp. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and I will carry you guys back up with me here in a second. I'll show you guys this real quick so you can see exactly what it is I'm pulling out here. So up here on this bank, I have a blue shell ledge here, and just above it, and this is blue shell that's turned to clay, mixed with a lot of sand and some very fine pebbles. So this here is hey Pooja, thank you for joining. Really great to have you here, it's an honor. This here clay is blue shell clay mixed with sand, and whenever we take this up to the mixing pit behind the shelter, this blue clay and sand mix is what's turning into that concrete that is holding our shelter together. So this is priceless to us right now. Put in this quarter round of log here, and then we carry it up to camp and we mix it up in the pit. Hey, Pooja, I know how busy you guys have been. You guys have been owning it. I'm very proud of you guys for everything that you've accomplished here lately. I heard you had a milestone reached there not too long ago. I'm just trying to get this together here real quick. Live streaming out here in the wilderness is fun. Hold on a second, guys. Let me get this on my hip. Ugh. And then we'll get back up to the build and we'll get this mixed up. Alright, multitasking. Holding the camera while holding the basket on my hip and trying not to die on this slippery ass blue shale. Careful, careful, careful. Alright. So we harvested our clay and sand mix. Oops, dropped y'all. Out of the riverbank, and we got tilted there. Apologize. We're gonna take it up here to camp and get it all mixed up. And then we'll be using it to lay the stone wall on the shoulder. Oh, 10K. You know, my subscriber count kind of stalled out there for a bit. I got stuck where I was at. It kept going up and down like 5 or 10 subscribers, but it's just stayed where it's at. And I'm okay with that because when I look at my analytics, over 87% of my views come from unsubscribed people. So, that's what I got to say about YouTube subscriber numbers. It is an achievement, granted, but I don't know if it's the same for anybody else, but whenever I look at my analytics, the subscribers are not the ones watching the channel. It's unsubscribed people. Let me get this clay haul back here in the back here real quick, and we'll go ahead and get it mixed up. Might as well take y'all back here with me. That's going to be our work zone for this next section here. So there's our build. We got to come back here. These are the stone walls that we laid previously, all holding up, no cracks, no nothing. And we're going to be building a smaller version of this here today. So we got our mixing pit right here, and all I do is take what you guys saw me right there, pull out of that bank, try to get everything situated here. I only got 2 damn hands. So here's what we hauled out of the bank. We just dump that all right down there in the pit. Take a bottle of our water. Throw that down in there. We got some fibrous material here that we toss down in there. That gives it tensile strength. And then we get dirty. You gotta break all that clay up, get everything mixed up nice and neat. Like making a mud pie when you were a kid. When the clay's at this texture, I usually use 1 basket and 1 bottle. 1 basket of clay, 1 bottle of water. Keep mixing it until you get the right consistency. And what you end up with is glue, and that's what we use to build our stone walls with. Whenever this stuff dries, it does shrink up a little bit and it does crack, so you have to go back through and smooth it. But that's a real simple clay glue to build stone walls on your survival shelter with. Now we are talking a long-term survival shelter. This isn't something you want to do in a survival situation. This is what you do when you get bored after you have your survival situation figured out. Now, I got all that mixed up, but my work area is up at the front of the shelter. So, going back with the same basket that we hauled it down here with, put it all back in there. Now it's all mixed up. Haul it up front and lay some stone. And waste not, want not. Use the wall to clean off my hands. There we go. Right back in the basket, and then we go up front. Just like that. Nice and easy. Now, hang on with me, guys. I gotta haul you. And this stuff is a lot heavier after you mix the water with it. Ah, we good. So, as I said, I already hauled the stone up here previously. That saves us a little bit of time here on the live stream. And this right here is the piece that we're going to be filling in right now. So, I'm going to start working on that. And if you guys one more time could share this, I'd appreciate it. I can't get to social media links at the moment because, you know, dirty. And for some reason, whenever I'm doing my live streams, I can only share this on Twitter. I've already shared it on Twitter twice. So if you could share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, let everybody know that we're live streaming right now. And we're about to build a stone wall on a bushcraft shelter. Let's turn this around here real quick where I can see you seeing me and I can still see the chat window. There we go. Try to keep as much of this in view as I can without getting my iPhone completely muddy while I'm doing it. So we start off with a level base, obviously. Just throw some rock down there. We can level it off with the clay as we're putting it on, and then we just fill in this triangle. That'll be the first accent for the front part of the cottage. So I'm going to get to that real quick, and I'll be back with you guys in a second. But I will still be able to see you somewhat. I just need to focus on kind of what I'm doing right here, just so I can line it all up right. I'm not worried about the ground being level, and you'll see why in a minute. Hey, Jess. I'll put the heavier stone up there. Smaller piece to go in there. So just a basic row of stone. That's the bottom of a wall. It doesn't have to be level or anything, because as this settles, it's going to level itself out. The weight of the wall itself will level it out where it needs to be. The cracks will form where there's a lot of stress, and then we just go back in, fill that in with more clay, and it takes that crack away. So it's simple, guys. Simple, but it is time consuming gathering all the materials up to do this kind of thing. So there is that price to pay. The layers that I put on here are only about a 1/4 inch thick until I get to a crack. and then I make it thicker. Make sure the entire stone, the top surface of the stone is covered. Really heavy on in between the two stones. Smooth that out a bit and go to the next layer. We're not going to do this a whole lot here on the stream, guys. I'm not going to bore you guys with just laying the stone too much. We can do this tomorrow or over the next couple of days, but you guys are getting the process right here, at least. And I do need to let these bottom couple of layers, like the bottom 3 layers, set up a little bit so it does level out. So we'll get that done. And then we'll work on our gathering. We'll go ahead and stack whatever stone we got here. Any of y'all want to go fishing? Alright, I'll give you a quick close-up of this here real quick. Let me turn you around here. You see what I'm doing here. There's our first 3 layers of stone going up to that point up there. Sorry for the sun glare. But that's basically it. It's just cob, clay, sand, some fibers in there, and then the stone. And then as this sets up and dries, I take all this excess that gets squeezed out from the stones and just add it to the top, because it is a pain in the ass gathering up the clay to build these things with. If I was to do it all here on the live stream, we'd just be repeating this process over and over and over again. Me going down to the bank and get clay, take it back there to mix it up, come up here and lay 3 or 4 layers of stone, and then going back and getting clay, mixing it up, and repeating the process over and over and over again. We just did the whole process right here on the live stream. We gathered up the clay from the bank, we mixed it up in the pit, we laid 3 layers of stone. Now, in order to keep that process going, that's what I have to do over and over and over and over again. So this is where I come into, turn you around here. This is where I come into how I do this live stream series. I can't do it here today because normally, whenever I come down in the mornings, and what I would do is I would haul all of the clay that I would need for the build up to the back of the structure. I would go ahead and mix it up, and I would form the clay into blocks and let them sit. And then all I had to do is grab that block of pre-mixed clay and throw it on the stone, and we can just keep doing that build process. Today, I did not come out here early and gather up all of the clay because I wanted you guys to see right here on the live stream a step-by-step of exactly everything that I do as far as building these stone walls. That's what we just did. We have our basket made up with a little edge curved into it, that little, just that little bit of give right there, that little arch where it fits into my hip. And that allows me to carry a lot more weight with a lot less effort. And that's a survival tactic. You want the maximum gain for the least amount of effort. Just because I cut that groove in there where it fits on my hip and it can rest on my pelvic bone as I'm carrying it, that means all of the energy in my one arm is not being spent carrying all this clay up here. I'm using one side of my body to do it rather than my whole body, so I'm saving my muscles doing it. I do that process over and over and over again. Probably make 15-20 trips before I start a live stream. That way you guys aren't bored to death with me just gathering up the materials and processing it to get it on the structure. So we got that covered here in the live stream today. Now tomorrow morning, whenever I come back out here, I'll come back out here right after sunrise, and I'll spend half of the day cutting wood, hauling stone. I'm going to need a lot more stone up here. Hauling clay, mixing clay, and forming it into blocks, doing all of the work part. So whenever the live stream starts, the only thing you guys see me doing is putting the structure together. Now as I'm doing that, just like today, every once in a while we break away from the norm, and I'd give you a step-by-step process of exactly what's going on. So I might take you to my wood processing stations and show you how I'm operating that. All of the spare wood that I cut, the punky wood, everything is being used in this camp. Even the stuff that is absolutely useless for anything other than garbage is being recycled into my camp, and you can see that out there in the front yard. So those ridges, those lines that you see out there in the front yard, that's all my punky wood. I'm putting it in straight lines all the way across there, and that is promoting the growth of moss, lichens, and things like that that brighten my camp up. It's recycling the wood back into the forest. It's making really rich, nutrient-rich soil, and we're trying to boost the growth of ferns and things like that, things that we can use and things that will help shelter our campsite from weather and animals and bugs and everything else. So we want to promote plants that help us out here and get rid of the ones that hinder us. So we're changing the ecosystem here. Hey, Jay and the Stick, sorry you didn't get a notification. You know YouTube and their notifications. That bell is not really ringing for anybody here lately. And I've seen some very successful channels with millions of subscribers complaining that their subscribers were not getting notifications for their videos. My buddy Outlaw, I talked about him on live streams before. He's been on YouTube for a decade. He's been around a long time, and he has all of the accolades and everything that goes with having a long YouTube channel. He has, you know, the plaques hanging up on the wall of his office, the play button plaques and all that. I mean, that guy got it all. He has a hell of a following. He has a hell of a business built around his channel as far as selling merchandise and products and things like that. That's all under his brand. He travels to New York City, Chicago, Detroit, and all these other places, meeting with companies to come up with new products. And it's all based around his YouTube personality and his YouTube channel. And YouTube has cut his throat in the past month. Like, they did not care that he got the play buttons. They did not care that he has millions of subscribers and is generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. They're cutting his videos off. they're either deleting his videos or demonetizing his videos because he makes content a lot like I do. It's not PC. It's not PC enough for YouTube. So unless you're a soft-ass little girl who's just prim and polite all the time and never offends anybody and never says a cuss word, never smokes or drinks or does anything adult-like on your channel, YouTube is not the place to be building a career. And I'm not going to change just for YouTube. I'm not going to come out here and pretend I'm something that I'm not just because YouTube said so. Yeah, they always do. And I don't care. I am not bound by the rules. And as far as the channel goes, I honestly wouldn't give 2 drops of monkey piss if the channel got deleted because I don't make no money off of it. It's not like I'm out anything. You guys would be the ones that would be out. But a lot of the content is shared on other media pages. We are not limited to YouTube. My videos are not just uploaded to YouTube. So even if my channel got deleted, the content still exists. It just exists on different forums. And I do have a backup for the channel. All of my videos are duplicate uploaded. So every single video that my channel has ever released, even the ones that I've previously deleted myself, trying to make YouTube a little bit happier, are uploaded to a backup channel. So even if my channel was to get deleted, every single video that I have ever filmed is also held on a private channel. So even if the Huntsman channel, this channel, was to get deleted, I would just re-release all 500 fucking videos at the same damn time. And all of the metadata, all of the tags, everything, every detail of every video I have ever released is copied on a second private channel. All of the videos on that channel are held privately, so we don't have that clash where YouTube's saying, hey, you're making duplicate content. You have 2 channels running the same thing. No, everything is private. The channel's not monetized. It's not part of the YouTube Partner Program. None of that other stuff. It's just backup storage, online storage for all of the Huntsman content. So technically, my channel cannot be deleted because it's backed up. It's not just backed up on YouTube servers either. So, like say YouTube was to use my IP address. If I did something really bad and they used my IP address and said, we're not going to let you create another channel because we got your IP address and tracking cookies on your computer and all this. No, you don't. I have 3 different access points, 3 different rotating IP addresses for all of my online content, so nobody can track me. At least not for long. Everything rotates and everything changes all the damn time. Even my live streams are on a different server, on a different IP address than my regular Friday night episodes. Obviously because I'm live streaming from in the middle of fucking nowhere. So in order to do that, I had to rig up a kit in order to boost my Wi-Fi signal while I'm out here. So this is how I stream, without giving too many secrets away. This is how I stream from the wilderness, and you don't see anybody else doing it. It's because I have a rig, and I can boost my Wi-Fi signal and piggyback off of towers. So I cheat. You gotta cheat. You can't stand out and fit in at the same time. Let me grab my water here real quick. So I kind of changed the plan here a little bit for the build. I don't want to do a repetitious thing. I don't want you guys just sit here watching me lay stone all night. What I'll do is I'll come out in the morning and I'll do this the right way, my normal way. Today, I just started a new job last week, or week before last. I've been there 2 weeks now. And I was trying to get set into the new schedule because I'm not working morning to afternoon anymore. I'm working evenings. And I haven't worked evenings since I was like in my early 20s. I always worked first shift. And working this evening shift, man, kicked my ass. Like, it threw my whole clock off. My sleep pattern got chaotic as hell, as if it wasn't chaotic enough as it is. And I was just trying to adjust to the day job, or evening job, or whatever. So I missed filming an episode of. Yeah, the new job's going great. I absolutely love it. But I'll tell you what, we'll get to that in a second. I was trying to settle into. Yeah, nights suck. Last night I worked from 7 till 4 in the morning. So yeah. Coming out and doing this stream early today, I did not get out here in time to do all of the processing that I normally do and kind of stick to the pattern that or the formula that I've made for doing these live streams. So tomorrow I'll be back on formula. I'll come out here earlier, we'll get the processing done, and we'll have our hands on the structure, and everything will just be right here ready to go, so you guys aren't bored with repetitious hauling and mixing and shit. It's already ready to go. That's for your benefit, not mine. Well, it's kind of for mine too, because if I was to try to do it while I was live streaming, it'd just be chaotic as hell. We got to kind of keep this thing flowing. So the new job. I'm driving. That's all I'm doing is just delivery driving. But I'm delivery driving for a place that is open until 3 o'clock in the morning. It's called Insomnia. And it basically just feeds stoners all night long. And in order to get this job, I had to go into the city to get it. It is in the heart of downtown Cleveland. I am actually a block away from the lake where my work is at. And it's in a part of the warehouse district. I'm surrounded by bars. So when I go to work now, I'm not working at a factory and doing all the kind of shit that I normally did. I'm in downtown Cleveland, y'all. Right in the fucking heart of the city, surrounded by all these clubs and bars. And whenever I go out to get my truck to take a delivery, I am surrounded by fucking stone cold alcoholics, the smell of pot everywhere. It's like Bourbon Street in New Orleans. That's what the street looks like whenever I walk outside of work. Every fucking night of the week. Even on Sundays. Even on Sunday night, it looks like Bourbon Street. People just out there partying and stepping out and stumbling out into the street drunk. And I'm all over the fucking city. I'm going down back alleys. I'm into some shady areas of the city. I've had guys come up to me saying, hey, can you give me some food? Hey, can you give me some money? Hey, can you give me some smoke? And I'm like, I can cut your fucking throat. Don't come close to my truck. I don't trust those city fuckers. They're bad news. And Cleveland is a shithole. If anybody, I mean, it's like the serial killer capital of the fucking world. There's fucking people in this city that got bodies buried all over their yards, and that is not a joke. I think we've had like 3, 4 fucking serial killers right here in town that had the bodies buried right in their yards, and I'm sitting here thinking, how the fuck did you bury all these fucking dead bodies in your yard and nobody noticed? But that's the environment that I find myself working in now. And the reason I find myself working in that environment is because I lost my last job, and they happened to be the first place that called, and I have to have a job. I don't give a shit what it is. So this is going to hold me over until I find something a little bit more me. It's actually good money, though. I'm bringing home cash money every fucking night, and I make pretty good money for it. So I don't get too nervous running around the city at night. I always carry my knives with me, you know, and I got other things in the truck that keep me safe. Don't need to talk about those things here on a live stream. But yeah, I don't worry about it. I don't worry about guys coming up to me or anything like that. I'll fuck you up, and the cops ain't even going to investigate it, because that's city life. Cleveland is like Gotham City. Yeah, you know, Jay, that was whenever I first moved to this area. It's been like 10 years ago now that I've been in the outside of Cleveland. But whenever I got moved closer to the lake, it was like I kind of had this retirement plan where I was just going to get me like a big enough boat to carry 20, 30 people and run charter boats, walleye charters during the summertime. And that was going to be my retirement plan. It was going to be out on the lake. Whether I was running charters or ferrying people over to like Put-in Bay and places like that. Yeah, I make pretty good money with the charter boat, just because charter boats aren't big on this side of the lake. It is really big on the other side. Oh, you know, you guys know Yankees Outdoors Adventures, right? I'm sure most of you do, some of you do. Yankee lives over not too far away from the walleye capital of the world. His area is big for boating. If you put a boat on that lake and you're willing to haul guys out fishing, you can make a shit ton of money every season. So Yankees in the spot for walleye. Over here on this side, not too many charters going out. There is a walleye out there in the lake though, and that's good eating. Walleye is expensive fish too. If you was to go to the market and buy it, it cost you $40, $50 for a fillet. Yeah, I had a dream of running a charter. Most of our stones settled up pretty good except for that one right there. Didn't have enough clay in that. Yeah, tomorrow we're going to be live streaming a little bit longer. And like I said, I'll be out here and be doing all the processing up before we start streaming. We won't be hiking tomorrow. I'll come out here, I'll do the prep, and then we'll be streaming right here from camp, and we'll get these 2 points done. So there will be, for those of you who join the live stream tomorrow, we'll come out here. There will be some downtime-ish kind of boring parts because I need to focus on getting the walls done. And that's where I kind of run into, like, I'm kicking myself in the ass for this, because I set up this rule for this build where I was not going to do anything construction-wise to the build unless we were live streaming. But now I'm running out of summertime. Everything out here, the leaves are changing slowly but surely. The nights are getting cooler, and I feel this sense of urgency to get this damn thing closed in. We're going to take a little bit different perspective here. Before winter sets in, I have a lot of work to do here. God damn, son. That's pretty though. Look at me. I look like an angel. We got to get this front face sealed in. We got to get all the stone hauled up here to build that fireplace right there and get the chimney going up. I mean, as the workload is insane. And doing the hands-on part here on the live streams, there's a lot of that that's just boring as shit. Laying those stone walls there in the back, they had to be boring as shit for anybody watching it. It was boring for me because I go back and I watch the live streams to see how I can improve the experience for you guys. So after I get done streaming, I go home, and after I get all the metadata and everything figured out for these streams and get all that set and the thumbnail set that I didn't do while I was out here, I just sit down and, just like you guys, just like an audience member, I just try to clear my head and watch the thing from your perspective. So I see what you guys see, I experience what you guys experience, and I hear me saying what you guys hear me saying, and I analyze myself on how to give you guys a better presentation of what I'm doing out here. So I'm kind of using myself, it's an experimental thing, but I'm kind of using myself to teach myself what to do and what not to do, where I can stream and where I can't, and try to cut down the boring parts. I don't want, 20-30 minutes of a live stream to be taken up by just a workload. So we try to break it up as much as possible while getting the build done, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So when we were building those back stone walls, I'd put a couple of layers on, and then I'd make sure I'd come back and talk to you guys, see where your heads were at, see who was still with me through the process, because it was a lengthy process, and we're going to be doing that 2 more times up here in the front, and then we got to do it to the fireplace and the chimney going up the back. That's very time-consuming stuff, and it takes up a lot of time during the live streams, but it's something that I'm going to have to get done. To make that process go a little bit faster, we make the blocks. We get everything prepped and ready to go, where we're just doing the assembly on the live stream, so that makes it go a little bit faster. I'm not going to come out here and do the repetition. One of my biggest pet peeves is repetition, especially on outdoors channels. You have limitless options whenever you're filming outdoors, bushcraft videos, survival videos. The wilderness is limitless, and I see too many people doing the same shit from a different camera angle and calling it a brand new video. It's not. It's the same shit that you did last week. It's just from a different angle with a different spin on it. So it's just like this live stream series. This is a bushcraft build live stream series. We haven't done much building today, but look at the shit that we experienced while we were here at camp. I hear a hawk. you know, we go on this hike. We get skunked on finding food, foraging for food, so we had to make it back to camp. On the way back to camp, we find a crystal. I still got to go up to the top of the ridge sometime before I leave here today and get me a couple of feathers to put on my walking stick. And we talked about the story of the walking stick. And then we talked geology. We talked the animals. We talked how we're mixing stuff up. And we had some hands-on stuff while we were mixing stuff up. Options are limitless. So whenever you see guys going out there and they spend the first 15-20 minutes of their video just processing wood, every single time, and then they sit down and talk to you for 5 minutes and that's the end of the video, that's the kind of shit I stay away from. That's the kind of shit that I don't want to do. I don't want images like that, even with the fucking sunburst in it. Now, there are a lot of professional YouTube channels that says that sunburst right there that's covering my face, this is a shit shot. That I should move the camera, that I should find a different angle. But look at that shot. You see what I'm saying? It's going to go away here in a second. Or if I just tilt my head that way, it's a whole different thing. But look at that. Get my ass out of the way. Look at that build. That's the kind of shit that I share on social media. That image right there. We capture it right here in the live stream. And then whenever I get home, and I get to this point in the video, I just print screen that. And that's the kind of images that I share on social media. So whenever you're looking at my bushcraft build, it don't look like other people's bushcraft builds because I'm not following those YouTube guidelines on how to make the perfect video with the perfect audio and the perfect lighting. You can't fake that. That's not a filter. That's not perfect lighting. That's nature. And that's what makes this all different. And that moment right there, I can't replicate. It's not going to be the same tomorrow. It's not going to be the same the day after that. That is this moment, these weather conditions, the way the clouds are, the way the canopies, each individual leaf in the canopy is making that picture the way it is right now. I can't fake that. I can't replicate it the next day. If I don't capture it right here, right now, it's just gone. And that's one of the things that I use as far as my filming philosophy goes. If you don't capture the moments as they happen, and you can't go back and edit it in. You can't edit that in. And not make, you know, it's just not organic. It don't feel organic. It's not real. What we're doing out here is as real as we can get it. Let's try a different angle. Now we're experimenting with the fucking iPhone just to see what it can do. Tomorrow I'm actually I'm going to be bringing a lunch out with me. So as I'm doing the build, I'll come out here, I'll do the process, and by the time we get to the live stream, I'm going to be hungry as hell. So we'll probably do some building, and then I'll sit down and have lunch with you guys and be able to talk. Now look at this shot right here. What are the odds that the sunbeam that you see right here in the screen, the sunbeam is the exact same angle as the beams of the shelter? What are the fucking odds that I just come over here and I happen to set my iPhone down where that beam of sunlight coming down through the canopy matches the angle of the shelter? Did you guys notice that? Isn't that fucking weird? Organic stuff, guys. It's just like that hike that we went on. I didn't know what we were going to see out there. I didn't know that we were going to uncover this fucking 50-pound quartz crystal that's in the middle of the forest, and then I'll be sitting down there tonight obsessing over how I'm going to get that back up here to camp. Look at that. I don't know why guys come out here and want to process wood and show off their knives whenever they could show off the things that we saw right here in the live stream today. Let's take a little walk here real quick. Look at that creek. That's what I'm saying, guys. People don't just stop to notice what they're setting in, what's right around them. You know, they come out and they talk about their gear, or they talk about their shelter, or they fix their food, and they miss the wilderness part. And I've stressed that before. They miss the point of being out here. It's not about your gear. I got my pack right there. It's got gear in it that I could sit down and talk to you guys about, or we could do this kind of shit, you know, and look at this kind of shit, which is what we're supposed to be out here experiencing. And this kind of thing right here is what everybody's trying to close off and shelter themselves from by building shit like that up there. We always build these walls and these fences and all this other shit around ourselves, and you know, we're out here trying to experience the wilderness, but at the same time we're closing it out. And that's something I struggle with, and that's one of the reasons I come out here with no gear at all, and I just sit in the woods overnight with nothing. No survival gear, no knife, no axe, no saw, no fire, no light. I just come out here and I sit in the woods, and because I don't want to block it out. If I wanted to block it out, I'd stay home. That log right there, that we might be able to fashion into a sturdy enough sled to get that big hunk of quartz up here. I'd have to knock off the base, the root base, and all of the rotted wood, but I think the bottom of that might hold up enough if I can roll the crystal into it to haul it this far up and just slide it across the shale of the creek. Let's go right up here, and we're going to experiment with the light real quick. So the front yard's all pretty well cleared out. We have some light weeds, small things, a lot of ferns growing up in here, but we're focused on mosses and things like that. Let's look right here. I'm gonna have to read that, go back and read that comment here, buddy. I'm sorry I missed it. Yeah, they do miss the entire point of being out here. Now, I'm gonna show you guys something right here on the live stream that a lot of other folks won't do. And I don't know why they don't do it, but we're gonna do it right here. I have to go hands-free, so it might get a little tricky here. But I'm sitting down on the ground here, and I'm just gonna take the camera. I'm gonna get this tripod out of the way. We got our shelter right there. Now the light's gone behind a cloud, so let's set this down here. Look at those colors. I'm waiting for the sunlight to come back, because what I want to get is a shot from back here and try to focus the camera on these. So if we can keep them on focus, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to do on the iPhone, while we tilt up real slow. Nope, see, the shutter automatically comes into focus. Working different angles of the camera here. So you guys are sitting on top of these right here. So if you was a little pixie, that would be the view of my Bushcraft camp from the front yard. Now you get the sunlight come back in, that might look something different. Now I can take my regular camera that I have out here filming, and I can have that close up where the background is blurred and these here are more in focus. But it's little experiments like that, camera angles, what you're seeing. The lighting should not be faked. You should not have a ring light out in the wilderness. You should not be worried about the lighting of your video. Nature will light that sumbitch up as she sees fit. I tried that, Jay. So let's try that one more time. It's a little shaky because I'm hands-free right now. So if I touch my screen, I don't get a focus on this live stream. Nothing's happening. You can see how it kind of blurs. the background there a minute, and then it stops. But the touchscreen, as far as the live stream goes, it's not a function that at least not a function that I have on my phone. So there we get a little bit of our fungus growth in with the build in the back, and the sunlight spilling down through there at just a perfect angle to sort of fan out on the ground. Really? Let's try that. Seeing my normal functions, as far as my iPhone camera functions, are not working whenever the live stream is on. So YouTube live streams, at least on my phone right now, is not functioning like my normal iPhone camera does, like you were saying there, Jay, where I can focus on one area and not the others. So now we've gone from bushcraft building to what you focus on whenever you're out in the wilderness, and what you're experiencing, because of not just where your camera's, it's not about where your camera's pointed, it's about where your mind is focused. It's not on the content that you're creating so much as the organic experience of it. Here on the live stream, it's easy to focus on the organic experience because none of this can be edited. There's no filter for this. There's no tweaking the sound. There's no tweaking the photo. There's no upping the contrast. Obviously, there's no touch screen focus because I just tried that, like Jay suggested, and it didn't work. So what you see is what you get, kind of. And even after I got back home, I would have to download this video to my computer and then run it through a fucking program and process it all up and then re-upload it. And I don't do that to my live streams. I just leave them as they are. All the angles, everything, the truth, guys. Even the truth doesn't matter to anybody. Perception is everything. Everybody has their own truth, and that's even become a fucking hashtag now. Your truth, my truth, your own truth. Live your own truth. It's about your own perspective. And if your perspective is shit, if you don't stop to look at things like this because you're so focused on gear or so focused on your camp itself, you're so focused on everything internal that you forget to see the external stuff. Now right here, you see that? See that blue haze that comes into the screen right there? That's just a light angle. That's actually a light flare that's coming in, but it's only there right for like less than a quarter of an inch, and then it fades off. There it is. There it goes. There it is. There it goes. Not focusing too much on the filming techniques, but you guys get the idea, right? Like, we kind of segued into filming techniques, but it's all about perspective. Everything out here is about perspective. What you're capable of achieving whenever it comes to your build is your perspective. It's your truth. It's what you can imagine. You got to take your imagination and make it real. That's all you're doing with your bushcraft camp. Is you imagine something up, you go out there and you try to match your imagination as best you can. So in the reality of this is, sit you guys down here a sec. The reality of everything that we can do out here is breaching the boundary between what we can imagine to be possible and what actually is. As survivalists, we have to be creative, we have to be imaginative, we have to dream, and then we have to attain the skills necessary to make those dreams into reality. Without imagination, without that tinge of fantasy, you miss the point. You miss the wonder. You miss the miracle of nature and the miracle of just being in the wilderness. It's not about the build. We came out here for a live bushcraft build series, and the only thing that we did was laid 3 rows of stone with some clay on it. because the build is never the focal point. The build is not the point. It's not the point of any of my videos. It's the experience. And that's why I wanted to do it on a live stream, because it takes a building process and makes it a community experience, something that we all share, something that you guys are a part of. And having you guys here with me during this process, you guys are in these stones, you're in those walls, you're in that wood. The memory of doing these live streams and doing it as a collective group, as an experience, is in this build. So it's not just a build, it's all of us hanging out in the woods. It's an illustration of a group effort. You guys are putting forth effort right now, just hanging out here, listening to me ramble on. I'm putting out effort right now, just trying to entertain you guys and maybe pass something along that you might be able to use yourselves. And I'm not gonna confine myself to the typical. I don't want to be normal. I don't want to follow YouTube's rules and guidelines. I don't want to, whenever I go into a Facebook group, I never read the rules or guidelines, and whenever I see somebody up here peacocking as a moderator, the last thing I am is impressed. I don't read the rules anywhere I go. You'll have me as long as you have me, and if your arrogance or your ego pushes me off to the side, then you're the one out, because there ain't nobody else out there doing shit like this. There ain't nobody else out there talking about the shit that I'm talking about. They're at the loss, not me. So I try to share these streams, right? I try to share this experience and get more people here to have this real-time chat, this real-time live experience, and I get moderators and group owners cutting me off. And they're not cutting me off because they think I'm spamming their groups or that I'm just trying to promote my channel, because I'm not trying to promote my channel. I'm trying to promote the experience. And they're not doing what I do. They don't have the evidence to back it up either. The build's right behind me. It's chronicled right here on the channel. And I'm going above and beyond sparking a fire and fixing a breakfast bagel, so they're kind of getting a little pissed off about that, because there is a sort of sense, this unspoken sense of competition. Whenever you see a build, an impressive build, even I feel a little envious of them, and I want to try to come up with something more creative and better and stronger and more durable. And so there is that sort of competitiveness to it, which is a good thing. It's a healthy competition as far as I'm concerned. Whenever I see something that makes me jealous of, like, okay, this guy's got his shit together, he knows what he's doing, that jealousy doesn't last. That's the guy that I want to hang out with. That's the guy that I want to pay attention to, because if he makes me feel like I should be doing more, then that's the guy that I want to teach me, not the guy that I've seen do the same shit over and over and over again every fucking time, and I'm a fanboy wearing his fucking t-shirt. No, that's never going to be me. I want the guy that makes me feel uncomfortable, because if somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, that's the guy you want to listen to, because obviously there's something there that you're lacking. That's where the uncomfort comes from, and that's something that you should be gaining for yourself. Once you get over that uncomfortable part and you become comfortable with that personality type or that type of project or that type of survival situation, then you're just all the stronger for it. Blocking all of that out so you can create your own little safe space in a controlled environment just proves to the world that you're a fucking pussy. And that's what group owners and moderators really come down to, in my point of view. They feel like they got this sense of power and control over something, and whenever it comes to me, they control, two things: jack and shit. So, I try to share it out. I try to get more people involved, because the more people involved, the more soul and the more emotion goes into this build. The more memories are made with more people. That's what it's all about for me. I don't care how much revenue it produces. I don't care if anybody goes to my merchandise and buys a fucking t-shirt because they liked hanging out with me for so fucking long. The memory's already made. Everything right here that's happened on this live stream, it's already written, and nobody can unwrite it. You guys were right here with me. People that stepped in and talked in the chat room, your names are right there. So whenever anybody comes in the future and watches this video, they're going to see your names here with me and nobody else. So all the people that, like, say 10 years from now, my channel is one of the biggest and one of the best and everybody loves me. I'm the new little Joey Robinette, right? For whatever fucking reason, which I don't want to be. But if my channel goes over that big and I'm the guy that everybody wants to network with, why are you coming to me now? Where were you whenever Jay and the Sticks or anybody else in this chat room right now was with me whenever the channel was nothing and limping along? You know, when we were just out here breaking all the fucking rules, raising hell and having a good time and making channels 1,000 times bigger than mine jealous of what we were doing, making them worried about what the fuck I'm going to say next because it might affect their revenue stream. Where were you whenever I was the little guy? You know? So as my channel grows, I always go back to the same guys that I was hanging out with whenever my channel first started, the same guys that's been with me from the beginning. That's the brotherhood. It's not the guys that come in after you're successful trying to piggyback off of your success. It's the people that have been with you from the get, that struggled with you from the start. That's your brotherhood. Those are your truest friends, your truest supporters. And those are the people that deserve to have their names carved in the stone of your shelter and your memories and your camps. And, you know, that matters. We ought to do that. What do you guys think about that? I'll tell you what. Let's, we got one more little walk here. We got a new idea. So, people that are with me on these live streams all the time, been with the channel, supported the channel, shared this stuff out all over the place. Those are the people that matter the most. So, we have these big old slabs of stone down here. That's about 3 foot long. And we get it all set up, get it cleaned up. We'll bring some stuff out here to lighten it up a little bit. And then we take some etching tools. And when we get our, oh, there's our train. When we get our camp done, we'll take that stone right there and we'll take etching tools. We'll sit down on a live stream. And whoever has been my biggest supporters throughout this project and throughout the story of the Huntsman channel will carve your names right there into that stone. And then we'll take it up to the shelter and set it up right beside the build. So every time I'm out here filming and you guys see my front door, you'll see a stone sitting off here to the side that's got the names of everybody who supported the Huntsman series from beginning to however the fuck long we go on, carved in stone right here at the camp. That would be a fun project, and I think it would be a nice thank you and tribute to you guys for coming along with me on all these rants. So yeah, why don't we do that? Our final piece to this bushcraft build will be a stone slab that has everybody's names carved into it. And I'll come up with something where we make sure all those names are chronicled. People that are in my chats on my live streams all the time, you know, it's easy enough for me to go back and see who is with me, who left a comment down below, who shared the videos on Facebook or, you know, Reddit or Twitter or whatever. I mean, I already know. I got a handful of people, but I could probably count them on one hand. Rich, you're one of them. That are there every day. Whether it's on Facebook or here on YouTube or in the comment section or in the community section of the channel, it's the same people every time. Those are my friends. Now, I said earlier in the stream, over 85% of my views come from unsubscribed people. They're not subscribed to the channel, but they're watching the content without hitting the subscription or the bell notification. So whenever it comes to stuff like this, they're missing out because they didn't get notified that it was happening. That's fine. That's their choice. But to the people that did make that effort, who have subscribed, who have helped build this channel into what it is today, into something that larger channels are afraid of, yeah, your names are going to get carved in stone right here at the camp. I got a Dremel. I actually have a battery-powered Dremel too, so we can bring that down with a diamond bit, and we can write everybody's names in there. We'll go back, and I'll go back through the video archive and see if I can find the video where I first came into this woods. This particular woods, when we moved away from HB's woods and came down here. And we'll put that date on the stone from the day we walked into this woods until the day we leave the woods. So we'll put our start date right there. We came on this date, and it's got everybody's names. And then when we decide to move on from this build, move on from this forest and out of this area, we'll write the date that we left, which will probably be years from now, because whenever you build a structure like this is a semi-permanent structure. It's going to be here forever. So yeah, we like doing stuff that nobody else has ever done. So a tribute to my loyal subscribers, the people that are always there. I will bring out the cordless Dremel with a diamond bit on it and carve your name in stone, and that stone will stay here long after we're gone. We're going to make sure it's set up somewhere away from the flood zone, far away from the flood zone. So we'll have it mounted up here at the camp, but we want to make sure that we put it someplace where 100 years from now somebody could dig it up. You know what I mean? If it falls over or something like that, it's not going to fall down the bank and get busted up and then wash out into the lake. It's going to be right here for a long damn time. So we'll carve our names in stone, and we'll put a time capsule out here after this adventure's done. How about that? So get that word out. Huntsman is going to be carving his subscriber's name in stone and putting it at his bushcraft build as a thank you to all the people who supported his masochistic bastard ass this entire time. That'll be an easy thing to do, and we'll do it on a live stream too. So on that, we'll make that a big event, and it'll be a while from now. But we'll make that a big event. We'll have the live stream going, and you guys will get to see me carving your names in stone on a live stream, and then we'll mount that stone up right here at the build. We can show that off in future videos as we're hanging out here at camp and actually enjoying the build once it's done. And then when we decide to move on from this camp, because eventually it'll get old and we'll want to go do other things, or something, or go to the next valley and do another build, we'll make sure that that stone is in a position where 300-400 years from now, an archaeologist or some other woodsman might come out here and dig it up, and everybody's names carved there in that stone as if they were part of this camp. You were here. That's the statement I want to make with that you were here with me. Whether it's on a live stream or not is irrelevant to me. You guys were right here with me the whole damn time. So I'm never really alone out in the forest. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I really gain out of YouTube, because I don't have family around here. All of my family live 220 miles away from here, and they never visit. I don't have friends here because city people don't like country people like me. I'm a dick. I have my dogs, and I have my wife. And aside from that, I have you guys. And HB. I have more in common with the animals out here in the wilderness than I do anybody else in the world, because I spend so much time out here by myself. I'm always alone, and I'm okay with that. I got that loner personality. I've got antisocial behavioral syndrome. You probably picked that up from my personality traits. I'm a dick. I'm a dick to other people. If I don't like you, I have no problem saying I don't like you. But if I do like you, That's carved in stone. That don't go away. We could disagree in the future. We could have a all-out fucking battle in the future. I don't care. If you're my friend, you're my friend. If you're not gonna be my friend in the future. I don't like you or I don't. There ain't a whole lot of gray area. I guarantee you're not gonna see Joe Robinette's name carved in stone at the Huntsman Bushcraft camp. And that's not because Joe's not a good guy. Joe's your typical kid, I guess. I mean, he ain't no different than any other kid his age. He's not a bad guy. Joe Robinette is not a bad guy. I just don't like how he presents. Yeah, a getaway. I never leave the Emerald Forest. There's reasons I don't leave. I don't go beyond the Emerald Forest. And I really don't. It takes something the level of a close family member dying to get me out of this woods. Jay, that actually sounds fun, man. But like I was saying there, the Emerald Forest is a giant circle. It's a 200-mile circle. And I stay inside that circle. I do not go outside of the Emerald Forest. All of my family lives outside of the forest, obviously. But yeah, I don't leave the circle for much of anything. Like I said there, it takes something the level of a close family member's funeral for me to leave this woods. This is... It's better than I'm stuck here. Now, if we let's say that we were trying to make a fairy tale story around the channel, right? Because there's fairy tales interwoven with the series. And I have this ability, because I started off as a writer, not as a filmer. I started off as a creative writer a long time ago, 20 years ago. I used to write handwritten journals all the time, very fantasy level journals, and short stories, fairy tales, things like that. So the fairy tale side of me in the Emerald Forest is I'm exiled here in a way. It's a trap. The Emerald Forest is this green pendant on the earth that I'm locked inside of, and I don't get out of that pendant. And there's reasons for that, very emotional reasons for that I don't really want to get into on a live stream. I'm safe here, and there are a lot of other people out in the world that are safe because I'm here. Being trapped in this wilderness ain't exactly a bad thing. It's beautiful. It's awe-inspiring. And what I'm able to do inside this forest, you don't see anywhere else. Like with HB and the deer, being able to get that close, and the imagery that I get with the wildlife, the imagery that I focus on with the flora and the forest itself, even how I design my builds. Everything is inspired by these fantasy notions, these storybook illustrations. And that's the difference in the channel. It's not this anal retentive survivalist mindset. I'm a hermit in the woods with a lot of ghosts and a lot of demons and a lot of skeletons in my closet. So many skeletons that every once in a while I have to go in there and make room for more of them. It colors my personality. It's what makes me who I am, but it also gives me the abilities that I have with the wildlife, and the abilities that I have coming out into the wilderness and being comfortable with nothing. Literally nothing. No backpack, no light, no survival gear, no tools. And I get people saying, you're going to get somebody killed going out and spending the night in the wilderness with no shelter, because I'm just huddled up in a hemlock grove with nothing. but I filmed it. You know, I had film gear with me. I was using night vision on my trail cam to film what it's like being in the wilderness whenever you don't have your gear. And it was raining that night. Those experiences, I'm comfortable with those. I feel safe and secure in this forest with nothing. Everything that I could possibly bring with me, whether it's bottled water or my knife, my axe, my saw, all of, you know, the tools, all of the gear, any kind of gear, that's just comfort. I don't need it. It's, for me, anything like that, it's not a need, it's a comfort. It's a cushion. It's one more barrier to block out reality. So I do come out here with nothing because I want to experience the reality. Chances are, if you was in an actual survival situation, you wouldn't have your pack full of pre-prepared gear. You were not prepared for the situation, which is why it's a fucking survival situation. It's not a survival situation if you're already prepared for it. You know you're going to make it. You got to get yourself in situations where you don't know if you're going to make it out or not. And that's what I do. Those are the things, because there's so many different psychological factors that come into that, that if you don't experience the wilderness with none of your comforts, then you've done nothing. You're not prepared for anything. People in survival situations, you never see them with a pack full of pre-prepared, well-sorted and organized gear. They're out there pissing in a bottle and drinking their own piss because it's the only thing that happens to be around. You know, shit like that. That's a fucking survival situation. And I'm not recommending anybody go out and drink their own piss, but goddamn, it's not survival if you go out prepared. You got to get yourself in uncomfortable situations that you don't know how to get out of. That's survival. That's learning how to survive in the wilderness. It's being being comfortable in uncomfortable situations. You don't want the squishy little fucking inflatable bed pad. You want to lay on a log. You don't want a pillow. You want a rock. You don't want a knife. You want a rock. Or a piece of slate or a cutting edge that you had to come up with yourself. You know, go out there with nothing. No curling irons. Sorry, Jess. Fucking hobby campers, man. They're not survivalists. And chances are, 99% of the bushcrafters you see out there wouldn't be able to fucking survive out in a survival situation because they're bushcrafting. It's not survival. They're not exposing themselves to shit. They're blocking all of the shit out. Right? Yeah, people that come out of survival situations, whether it's a plane crash and they had to get out of the woods like the book Hatchet, or some sort of accident, or they were on a hike and actually legitimately got lost. By the time they get out of the woods, they don't have a goddamn piece of gear with them. When they get out of the woods, they're crawling on their hands and knees, bloody and bent, and all of their shit had done failed. Like, everything that they had with them, they don't have that shit anymore. They're crawling out into the parking lot of somewhere because they finally made it out of the woods, screaming for help. Bloody, malnutrition, dehydrated, none of that stuff held up for them. Puja Studios never apologize. It's a sign of weakness. Yes, survival situations, real life survival situations. You go to anybody's biography, an actual biography or an autobiography of somebody who actually experienced a real life survival situation. They are not going to talk about the fucking gear that they had pre-prepared with them. Because if you go out there with a bag full of pre-prepared gear and you make it out of the woods and you didn't go through all of that gear and throw your back on the ground in frustration, you did not have a survival situation. You had a camping trip. 99% of the bushcrafters out there could not survive in the wilderness. They can go camping all fucking week long. Little Joey Robinette can go out for 10 days with 10 items. He still needs those 10 fucking items. Let little Joey go out for 10 days with no items at all. I'll tell you what, if anybody knows Joe, has ever talked to Joe directly, you tell Joe Robinette if he goes out for 10 days with no gear whatsoever, I'll do the same, and I'll go longer. I'll go 2 weeks with no gear. None. No survival gear. No backpack, no nothing. No knife, no axe, no saw, no med kit. I won't be here at camp. I'll go off into the wilds with nothing and stay for 2 weeks, and I'll be fine. Let's see little Joey do that. He likes to do his 10 days with 10 items. Let's see him do 10 days with nothing. No curling iron, Jess. God damn, woman. You do look pretty when your hair's curly. I don't actually know that, but it sounded good as a rhyme. Alright, we're going to be taking this back with us. This is actually the El Cheapo sawback machete that I cut the meadow down with. And this thing has been out here for 3 weeks now and ain't got a spot of rust on it. How about that? And I don't even know what it's made out of. Like, there's no stamp that says it's stainless or anything. But this was a Christmas present. That sawback is crap. Like, you can't saw anything with it. In an emergency situation, maybe that'd be okay. But this thing does cut through anything like butter. But I want to do some work to the sheath itself. So we're taking the machete home tonight for a craft project, because as I take it in and out, it's that sawback's starting to fray it. So we need to do a little work on that. So take that home for a craft project. We're going to be fixing that up a little bit so we can keep the gear that we do have out here nice. Oh, it's been a different kind of stream here, hasn't it, guys? Very different kind of stream. Come out here for a build and we start doing all this other shit, talking about all kinds of crazy stuff on the live stream. Don't know what Huntsman's going to say from 1 minute to the next. Our firewood is actually seasoning up really well, and look at that. Look how fibrous it's getting. Like, I don't even have to feather stick. It's already feathering for me. I could spark a fire right on that and it light right up. So yeah, I'm seasoning firewood here in the shelter, and the shelter's not even complete yet. But I want to season some wood up along the walls. That way I don't have to go through wood processing every single time I come out here. I have a stack of firewood. I just throw it in the fucking fireplace and get it lit. We like convenience. We're gonna move over here real quick. It's about that time, guys. A little bit different perspective there while I start putting this shit away. So what I came out here with today, and all the stuff that we did here today, bottle of water. And I didn't buy bottled water. This is tap water because I'm not buying fucking water. If anything, I'll make my own. Just a bottle of water. I always carry my axe, even if I'm not going to use it. I always have my axe on me. It's just a comfort thing. It's like my blankie. My saw, in case we decided to start wood processing. And my black pearl handle with the silver pins, Deep Woods Bushcraft and Survival Bushcraft knife, which needs cleaned up. I'll be cleaning that up whenever I get home tonight. I always have that with me too. So I'm only carrying those 3 items. I do not have a med kit. I do not have cordage. I do not have a tarp. I do not have a headlamp. I do not have a flashlight. I have my battery pack, my booster pack, knife, saw, axe, and a bottle of water. Been out here all fucking day long with nothing but those items. And a total pack backpack. And I'm happy. It's been a good stream. When we talked about a lot of shit you ain't gonna see on any other fucking outdoor stream, because this is all sort of ad-lib. do you not have green eggs and ham? That made no sense to me, woman. I'll be home in a minute, though. We're going on 5 o'clock now, so we've been streaming for a little while. We got shit done on the build today, but we had a lot of other fun. We got to cover a lot of other different topics, and we got some new projects coming up. So we're going to get the there come my train. We are going to get the walking stick wrapped up here shortly. It's still in processes. So the walking stick that I'm making now is going to represent all of the wild animals that reoccur on the channel. The white-tailed deer, the turkeys, all that kind of thing is going to be represented in the stick. Dixie fell asleep. She didn't fall asleep. She was off drinking. We're going to get the sheaths fixed up on the machete. I still have to run up the ridge real quick here before I leave this evening and get some turkey feathers if I can find some. You guys want to walk up there with me? We're going to be wrapping this up. We might as well go for one more little hike up the ridge. So I'm going to get up there, see if I can find a couple of turkey feathers to put on my walking stick. The last time we was up there, they were easy to find. I'm hoping we just get to the top of the ridge and can find a couple. I don't know. We'll see when we get up there. You guys can walk up with me, and then we'll wrap our stream up for the evening. Tomorrow we will be live streaming again, and tomorrow we will have more hands on the build. So, like I said there earlier, I'll get out here, do all the prep work and shit like that. And, we'll do a lot more building tomorrow. Today turned into more of an adventure, but that's okay. We like adventures. All right, let's take a little walk here. Get you guys sort of situated here, because I got a bit of a climb to get up there and try to find them damn turkey feathers that I need for my walking stick. So when I'm sitting on my ass at the house, I got something to do. The live stream tomorrow, it's gonna be early, I'm thinking. I don't know. Look how our floor turned out. Still need to sweep. I have to consider that, Rich. I'll tell you what, after I talk to Courtney there, I can come out and do the prep work early and maybe do a later stream tomorrow. I don't know. But I will let everybody know on the community section of the channel and on Facebook, Twitter, things like that. I'll let you guys know tonight. I'll decide tonight what time the stream is going to be on tomorrow and announce it. Sound good? So, yeah, we got live streams all this week. We're going to try to do it up all this week. So, it's going to be at a different time every day as we work through this process. Tomorrow, like I said, I have to come out here early, get a lot of the processing done. If I get out here early enough, we might do a stream around 11 o'clock in the morning. We might do a stream later on in the evening. I'm not sure. I got fresh deer trail. Fresh tracks. But yeah, like I said, Rich, I'll let everybody know this evening after I kind of plan it out a little bit. We got this ridge we got to hike up. The turkey feathers are up there at the top, as far as we know. Or that's where we spotted them the last time. We're gonna hike up here and see if we can find our turkey feathers. And well, Jess, I'm more tempted to do an evening stream. Look at that sight. I love that view. Dixie, you come up with the strangest shit, girl. Trying to focus here. Turkey feathers, so we can wrap this stream up. Following the deer trail up, it's making it a little bit easier. Elven lands, guys. I live in a fucking fairy tale, I swear to God. The waterfall's flowing a little bit. Yeah, we're up a little ways, but we're only halfway up at this point. That's a good shot of the waterfall there behind camp. Hey, thank you, Andrew. So yeah, this is actually the ridge behind camp. This ridge right here is why we built the camp down there, because this blocks the way of getting up here. If we didn't build where we were at, there's no other way. Holy fucking firebugs. Alright. We still got to go up there. So we come this high. That's the edge. That's a long fucking way down. We still got to go up that high. I'm trying to go straight up the same damn way that we went on our last live stream, where we ran right into the turkey feathers, because that's the goal of coming up here. I need turkey feathers to put on the new Huntsman walking stick. I got one there at the house, but it's a tail feather. It's a fucking mile long. If I was to put it on the walking stick, it'd go halfway down it. I need some smaller ones, which we had found up here, what was it, last week, a week before? Let's see if there's any more up here this evening. Oh, here's something. That's a hawk. Yeah, that's not a turkey. Here's another. What the shit? Look at here. Remember that red mushroom we found earlier? There's another one. That one we found earlier was a lot bigger than that. Ranger! How's it going? There's another one right beside it. That one's opened up a little bit. That's a pretty cool one. Alright. So we're finding feathers, but not the kind of feathers that we're after. Found 2 of these. Need something smaller than those. Pretty good sized feathers though. Check this out. That one's pretty cool. That's actually really good shape too. Looks like a toasted marshmallow. Getting off track. Come up here trying to find turkey feathers, and we're finding shrooms. Alright, this is the area where the feathers were at before. Or they were sort of around in here. I don't know how... Right. Eat the mushroom, you can see the fairies. Been a lot of activity up in here. Things up in here scrounging for nuts. Come on, I just need like 2 fucking feathers. Wouldn't it figure that the only feathers that I found were type that I don't need? We're not alone, guys. Sounds like a deer's up ahead of me. Here, another. That's 3 types of shrooms that we found on this little walk. Still ain't found them damn turkey feathers too. I don't think they were this far up. Of course, the ones that we found before have done blown away, but I thought there'd be something more up here. Well, we are finding feathers. We just ain't finding the feathers we want. We need something small. This is the 3rd one of these that I found up here. These are not the droids you're looking for. See, this kind of narrows out right here, so I thought this might be a good search area just because it's a small ass search area. And I know we weren't this far back when we found the feathers before, and all I keep finding is these damn things. Some might get skunked on the small turkey feathers too, but what I can do is I can take the turkey feather that I have there at the house and I can crimp it down into smaller pieces and form it up. I just thought it would be easier to come up here and try to find some down feathers. There goes my fucking helicopter trying to search for my ass again. Yep, we'll try the edge of the ridge here on our way back. Then we gotta get back to camp and wrap it up, guys. So, for those of you who just came in and might have missed it, what's coming up this week on the series is we have live streams happening every single day. None of it is really planned out, aside from certain goals that we're going to try to reach as we're streaming. What the hell is that? Anybody know what that is? I might have to hang on to that so I can look it up when I get home. That's a new one. It's like a nut. It's real hard. I only found one of them too. Acorns laying around here, but I don't know what that is. Yeah, that's something I'm gonna have to look up when I get home. I got a naturalist buddy who might be able to help me out with that one. Mystery. Anyway, live streams every day this week at different times, and I'll let you know those times at least the night before. This fungus here, this is a bioluminescent fungus. That there glows in the dark. It glows kind of a blue-green aqua color. But that is a bioluminescent fungus right there. We've found this out here before, at night, during a night hike. Usually growing on rotted wood like this. It's actually something I wouldn't mind having down at camp to see if it spores out. We could have some glow-in-the-dark shrooms going down at camp. That would be cool. This stream here, we came out to work on the shelter a little bit. That didn't happen because we like to wander off into the woods and get ourselves into different situations. We have some crafting coming up on the series. We have a giant crystal that we found in the heart of the woods, laying in the creek, that we're going to try to rig up a way to get up to our camp at least. Check this out. Oh, that's like fused on there. Oh, yep. We're just gonna leave that alone. That's a big one. We have more of the build that's going to be coming up. We have the Huntsman walking stick, which will have representations of all of the wildlife that appear throughout the Huntsman series. Somehow represented on it, whether it's in a wood carving or a feather or deer antler. It's all going to be on there. One walking stick. Not really a walking stick that you would use as a tool so much as a ceremonial piece, because even after I got it cleaned up, it is heavy as hell. But it will have features on it, features included into it, including a hidden compartment inside of the walking stick for tinder to be stored into, so you don't have to worry about that. You just pull it right out of the stick itself. It'll have paracord on it, jute twine, and a couple of other survival features added to it. Still ain't finding no damn turkey feathers to put on it yet. Just finding a lot of damn shrooms. Primary winds would have blown the turkey feathers right down the hill and towards camp, but they would have ended up in the meadow, and there ain't no finding them in that meadow. Let's see if they go halfway down on that second ridge. See, I'm starting to babble now. That's because I'm getting tired. I have so many damn projects going on now. We got the walking stick, we got the crystal, we got the build itself. We got coming out here hiking around looking for berries and glow in the dark fungus, which there's another big old log with it on there. That's not quite as developed as the one we got. Trying to take some bioluminescence down to the camp so we can have glow in the dark fungus growing around our camp. I got so many irons in the fire, I'm gonna have to ride it all out to keep it straight. Come out here on the first day of this week-long stream series, and everything just went chaotic. As soon as we went on that hike, everything changed. And we went from, hey, we're going to build on the Bushcraft shelter today, to, hey, let's go look at this. We're like little kids out here. I don't want to play at the fort. We're dropping back down into camp now, guys. I just wanted to come down to this second ridge here and see if any of the feathers that were up top there might have blown down here. Just sort of following our main winds. See if I can find any trace of a damn down feather, which would fit perfectly. Oh. Ooh. Nope, that's not one. Damn it. A couple of down feathers would fit perfectly right at the base of the deer antler that I have on the walking stick. At least that's the vision that I had anyway. But lo and behold, I ain't finding nothing but hawk feathers. Hawks ain't too bad to represent in the series, I suppose. I have run into quite a few of them, but I don't have a repetitious hawk as an animal on the series like I do the deer. When the deer pop up on the series, it's usually the same damn deer each time. HB is well known. Anybody that knows that story, when you see that deer, you know who he is. Same with Millie. Millie's a doe who wanders off by herself. She does not stay with the herd. So, you know, she earned her nickname just by being a loner. We're heading back down the trail to camp now. No feathers. We have Sheriff, who's the coyote that lives up in HB's woods. It's actually a female. She had 2 cubs last year. I don't know where they moved on to. Seen some coyote sign the last time I was up there trying to track HB down, and that bastard somehow eluded me. He disappeared, and I don't know where the hell he's been going to in the afternoon hours. But we're going to try to figure that mystery out. The other craft project that we came up with right here on the live stream tonight is we have a slab of stone down here at camp. And in the near future, after we get the Bushcraft build done, we're going to be bringing out a cordless Dremel and a diamond bit. And the most prominent folks who hang out with me on these live streams and are interactive on the channel, helping the channel grow by sharing videos or leaving comments and thumbs up and all of that stuff. All of my rowdy friends are going to have their names carved in a stone that we will be putting on display here at the Bushcraft camp. And after we move on from this camp to go build another one, or move out of the area to go do something else, that stone will stay here as a time capsule. It will have the day that we started the build and a quick little note on that part, and the day that we all packed up and moved on to a different forest for different adventures. So, people have been supportive of my channel from the beginning. People who come to these live streams throughout this next week or throughout this process and get to be friends. Yeah, you're going to have your name carved in stone right here at the camp. And we are going to do that stone carving on a lot. This site is going to be something for a long time to come, just because we have gone above and beyond with this thing. Above and beyond. Alright guys, one more quick sit down. I'll smoke one with you while I'm getting ready to head out of the woods. Get my ass back home. It's taco night. Have tacos for dinner. Sit down and hang out with the wife for a while. Get some rest and get back up in here early in the morning to get the work done so we can actually get the work done. Today was a great hangout though, guys. I really had a lot of fun today. But I got stone to haul, I got cob to mix, I got wood to cut, and we got to get some of this work done tomorrow. Which we will do, but it'll all be prepared and ready to go, so when we do have hands on the build, it'll go a lot smoother and a lot more efficiently than that little attempt tonight. Tonight we just saw some the process of laying stone on your shoulder. That's it. That's it, and that's all. Ooh, let's sit you down here for a sec. Oh, it's not really cold out. Whenever I got up and got to hiking, I put my hood up. I lifted it up because I was too lazy to put it back down. We are going to take our crystal home. We got a piece of chunk of crystal there that we're going to take home, put in the collection. We'll take the old feather home with us and maybe be able to work the tip of that into the walking stick project. And we'll have another video of that crafty project coming up here on the channel. I actually have a lot of videos that I'll be releasing here within the next couple of weeks. So a lot of it will be, you know, the regular Huntsman series. Redneck Road will be kicking back up. We'll be going back out on some trips there. We'll be down here at the shelter. We'll be up at HB's Woods. We'll be doing crafty crap. We are going to have a live stream where we'll be out in my backyard shooting a compound bow. We're going to be adjusting the weight, the draw weight on the compound bow, and trying to get it sighted in perfectly because it is bow hunting season and we need to be out there shooting us some freaking deer. So we're going to do that on live stream too, where you guys can see me adjust my bow, and we'll be doing some target shooting right there in the backyard that you can see right here on the Huntsman channel live. We'll be doing that this week. The only bump that I have coming up in the road this week is Thursday. Thursday, I'm supposed to be working a day shift from like 9:45 to fucking 4 o'clock or some weird shit like that. And unless I can get everything situated on Wednesday to come out and stream Thursday night, Thursday night's going to be the bump in our live stream week, but I think I got it figured out. Like, I just filmed Thursday night, it'll be fine. So Thursday, we might do a late live stream. It'll come out, we'll start live streaming maybe around 7. And then maybe 7 or 8. Maybe we'll go late on Thursday and do a night hike. How about that? So we'll see what happens with that. But that might be the only thing in this live stream schedule that I have to move around a bit. Just because of the day job. Or night job, or whatever. You know, the income source. Oh, great live stream today. A lot of shit covered in this. Damn. I lost track of how many things we covered in this live stream. So I come up tomorrow and do the workload, and I know I'm going to be obsessed with trying to pull that crystal out of the ground and getting it up here to camp. But we got work to do on the build. That crystal's not going anywhere. It ain't went anywhere for 14 fucking million years. I don't think it's going to go anywhere within the next couple of days. There's our starburst again. Can't fake it. I'm tired now, guys. Been hiking and talking too damn much. When I get home, I ain't gonna have nothing to say. So goal for tomorrow morning is to get enough stone up here to do these 2 accents, triangle accents on the sides of the shoulder, and get them fully encased in, which is a lot of cob. It's a lot of clay that I gotta haul up here. Probably 20 basketfuls. And that's pretty conservative. 20 baskets is not a lot. But that should do those 2 points. We get those 2 points done, or get the materials for the 2 points ready to go, then I'll do some wood processing and at least try to get our door put on there and the beams fitted up closer on the roof. We got bark to put on there, and we got to start cobbing the inside and chinking all of these logs together, which is going to, the chinking part, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that on a live stream because it's internal, but all I'm going to be doing is mixing clay and packing it in between the creases of each beam, so it's kind of boring. But in order to do all of it, that's going to take hours and hours, and I don't want to live stream that whole damn tedious thing. I could probably film that on an episode of Huntsman, Friday night episode, and just time-lapse that shit. Ain't gonna want nobody out there gonna want to sit here for hours on end just watching me stuff clay in between all the cracks on that roof. Because it's gonna take so damn long to do. No hiking tomorrow. We're gonna come out here, we're gonna work. We'll have our hands on the shoulder, we're gonna get dirty, we're gonna get sore. We will have a break in the live stream tomorrow as far as the workload goes to sit down and have lunch together though. So we will try to get that in. We'll have a fire going and sit down and cook us up some chili or something for lunch. Other than that, it's hands on the shoulder as long as possible tomorrow. So might be a little bit duller of a stream tomorrow. And I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit later in the evening. Might be after Courtney gets off work, so I'll have to go pick her up from work and then come back out. So I come out in the morning, do the work, and get as much done as far as gathering materials up until it's time to go get her, go grab her, drop her off, come back out, do the stream, get our hands on the shoulder. The problem with doing that is daylight. We run out of daylight really quick, so I don't know, something to consider on my ride home. Insulation held up pretty good. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it'll be ready to go to throw the cob on there. We got an outer shell of clay that goes on this, and then we got the heavy chinking that goes in between each of those beams. So basically the entire structure is going to be encased in clay, and then it'll have another grass roof on top of it. You got 3 layers of insulation there. You got the wood, the clay, and then the grass. That should give us enough insulation to hold that heat in the wintertime. Plus you got just the design of the structure itself, which is going to push the radiant heat into the structure instead of dragging it away from the structure. Which is something that I don't see a lot of other bushcrafters considering whenever they're building their shelter. They just go out there and build it. They're not considering their primary winds and how you can use your primary winds to your advantage as far as your radiant heat goes. Whenever you're building an enclosed structure like this with a chimney on the fire, you don't have to worry about the smoke blowing into your shelter. You can drag the heat into your shelter with the smoke going over top of it. So that's the added benefit of having a fireplace and a chimney. Now, if it was just an open fire, obviously, you know, you'd be pushing all that hot air into your shelter along with the smoke, and it's just going to kill you. That's no fun. But our design is we'll have the fire there in the back. That's the west side. So when that primary wind hits that back wall, the heat comes in, the smoke goes over top. That's the design. That's something that you should consider when doing an enclosed shelter. If you're doing an open shelter, it really don't matter because you're losing all your damn heat anyway. I think we're good on this. I can disconnect the wires. We're going to be wrapping this live stream up, guys. I got a little bit of a hike out and a little bit of a drive home. Go home, like I said, get something to eat, hang out with Courtney for a while, and just sort of chill. And we'll be back out here with our nose to the grindstone tomorrow. There won't be no hiking. There won't be a lot of dialogue until we get to our lunch part where I can sit down with you guys and we'll have lunch. We got to get some of this build done. And it's some time-consuming stuff. Laying the stone is some time-consuming stuff, but as we go up, it takes less and less stone because we're going up triangles on this side. So it won't take too long to do the stone work. Once we get the stone up, then we can put in a few pieces of wood. And our shelter's starting to close in real good. And then I have another day to come out here where it's just straight cutting wood, which is just sawing wood all day long to get that back wall. We're going to do horizontals across the back wall. And then we got to get our sides filled in and all this other shit. I mean, there's just a lot more to do to it before winter sets in. Leaves are starting to change and... Oh, yeah. Yeah, the fireplace is just a box. You know, we're just filling in that bottom of the wall there. But the box goes out about 2 feet away from the shelter, which gives us that foot for the chimney to go up. Now, the way I'm going to be doing the chimney is the same way that I lay stone on the walls as far as the stacking goes, but it has to be stacked in sections. So I can only go up maybe 2 or 3 feet, and then that's got to set up before I can put the next section on. I can't just build the chimney all the way up because it's going to be wet, and as it dries and settles and shifts, it's going to move around. So it's better to put one section up, let it set for a day or two, and then go up another 2 or 3 feet, and then another 2 or 3 feet until we're up above the structure. So yes, the chimney is going to take time. Once we get the fireplace in, though, adding a 2-3 foot section to the fireplace and just build it up and build it up and build it up, that's, you know, just something that's going to take, it will take time. And it's going to take a shit ton of stone. But smaller stone, so we can haul a lot more of it up. It doesn't have to be real thick. It's just got to carry the smoke out. What does have to be a little bit thicker is the box itself. So, yeah, once we get the box built, which is basically the belly, you know, the fireplace itself, then we'll use one of our flat stones down there. We'll be knocking it off and forming it to where the flat stone lays across the top at sort of an angle. So as the heat rises, it pushes the smoke wants to travel towards the chimney. So you don't want your stone laying flat. You want it kind of tilted like that, so as the smoke comes up, it naturally goes up out the chimney. So that's how we're going to be designing that. We got to have that sort of flue system in there. That'll help guide the smoke out. But we have the materials to do that real easy. That's just building the box and putting a slab of stone over it. But when we put that slab of stone over it, we'll have either a pebble on the backside and have that closed in with cob where it lifts the backside up a little bit and lets that go up towards the chimney. or we'll just have the cob thicker right there. But I think a little bit of stone in there will hold that. I mean, a piece like that would be enough of an angle to guide that smoke up and out the chimney. You know, just fit that in there on the back side where it's propped up some, and we get that little bit of angle. It'll be all right as far as doing that part goes. But yep, chimney goes up, and then the top of the chimney is going to have a shredder on it. Like we want to disperse the smoke. We don't want it going up in a single column. So we got that to think out too. Lots of work to do today, guys. Or lots of work to do tomorrow, and lots of work to do this week. We didn't get it done today because it was just a fun hangout, nice hike, history lesson, crafting projects that we got in the mix. There's just so much that's going on behind the scenes of the channel. It's hard to keep it all straight. So when I start talking about it, I just ramble from one thing to another. We got skunked on the blackberries. We got skunked on the turkey feathers. But still a good day. Very good day. I'm happy with it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. But I gotta be going. We gotta wrap this up. So thank you guys for coming along with me. Pay attention to the community section of the channel. That's where we'll be announcing the official start time for tomorrow's live stream. And then, of course, you can join in early, late, whatever. I'll let you know as soon as I can on when that live stream is actually going to start. So y'all can come and hang out with me a little bit, and we'll get dirty. And then we'll just be doing that all this week. So Wednesday will be a different time, Thursday will be a different time, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all different times. We're going to do it all week long. We'll have a lot of fun out here with a lot of different topics covered. So I hope you guys come along with me and can learn something, get inspired, just hang out and have a good time. So thank you, Jefferson. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, everybody who came along with me. Stick around, we got a lot more coming. We're going to get that stone dug up out of the ground too, get it cleaned up so we get everybody's name carved into it. But until then, I will see you guys next time. Thank y'all, and I'll see you later.